And I've been talking about an upload for a couple of weeks now, and I haven't. I've been so busy with the normal show, I haven't gotten to this. And I understand that a lot of people are probably like over beating the dead horse that is Eliza Blue. And I feel like I had to go on and put my 10 cents in anyway because I already did a show on her. I already posted the video from World Star Hip Hop where I talked and did commentary over the video in order to avoid the copyright strikes, in order to avoid the other issues. And the video was still strucken from YouTube anyway. It's gone. You can't find it on my page anymore. And this has happened to a lot of people. This has happened to Star Wars Girl. This has happened to Brittany Venti. And Star Wars Girl even got an email from YouTube telling her why they struck the video from her page, while they struck her entire show. So the shooting down of people started on Twitter. And now it's moved to YouTube as well, where you can't even talk about her or show a video on YouTube. So to YouTube, I didn't get a copyright strike. I didn't get a regular strike. I didn't get any action taken against me. Disciplinary action taken against me. But they wiped the show out as if it never existed. And I didn't even get so much as an email about this. It just happened. I decided after seeing Star Wars Girl, Brittany Venti shows and others, I said, all right, let me just go into my other shows that are on YouTube and let me double check and see if they've taken any action against me, right? I'm a small show. I'm at the bottom of the ladder, looking up at everyone that's already got 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, right? And I'm at the very bottom. I've only got a couple between live streaming on YouTube and Rumble, and then also doing my audio podcast and streaming on all the major platforms. But I'm still I'm new to this game and building up a fan base. So I said, I don't know, maybe I'm flying under the radar. Maybe they didn't do anything. So I go to double check it. Sure enough, the video's gone, as if it never existed. So I go into my my settings, where I can run my page and go through the details and see what's going on with the show, what I have and have not put up, and what's been deleted, and so on. And it shows that YouTube, it shows the show. I can't run it anymore. It's gone. And YouTube shows me they removed the show. And even the video from World Star Hip Hop, the music videos that Eliza Blue was in, where I found it on Rumble, they struck it from that guy's page too. I don't know if he got penalized for that, but they took the video from him. It's gone. And when I did this video, I tried to do something of a give her a benefit of the doubt, right? I said that I was saying that I didn't necessarily believe her about the charges with sex trafficking and all that, but also I don't have any proof to prove it otherwise that she wasn't. I also went on to say that she's in music videos and she's in a bikini, she's shaking her ass, she's doing her thing. Also, any woman and any body has the right to do that. No one can tell you can't, and no one should be looking down on you because you're doing that. If that's your hustle, that's how you make money, that's how you get seen. Like, do you? I didn't have a problem with that either. So in general, I was just trying to cover the basis of this whole story. That there are allegations, so I was clear about that on the show. It was allegations that she may not have actually gone through the sex trafficking. She was just twisting that meaning to fit her narrative, right? Because anybody that's been following this at all knows a little bit more about her story, knows that her father is a former Republican leadership, and her mom is a dean of a college, and she ended up talking with guys online, or one in particular. She ended up leaving or essentially running away from home, going to California. All this is allegedly, going to California, hooking up with a photographer, who told her that he could make her famous and do all this stuff for her. And she was hanging out with My Chemical Romance, the band. She was having a relationship with the lead singer of the band, and being videoed and photography and the photography that went with that while she was going through this whole thing. And there is a whole timeline of everything she's done. She's been on the show Blind Date from like the 1990s. She tried to get on America's Got Talent, and there are videos of her. And I think Candace is going to go over this right here.
All right, so have you heard of
Eliza
Bleu?
Here we
go.
That
name, Eliza Bleu, has been trending all over Twitter really for the last 2 weeks. And it's earned my attention. I would like to discuss her and tell you why it's an important story that you may not be paying attention to. So that's what we'll be getting into today as an installment in the Friday Files of Candace Owens.
So we're not going to go through the whole half hour. We're just going to go through some of the recap that Candace does, and then we're going to move on to more info.
All right, so her name is Eliza Bleu. At least that's her name today. That's her name this decade. She's gone by a lot of different names, which should already flag you as odd. She's Eliza Bleu today. She's been Eliza Knows. She's been Eliza Seep. She's been Eliza Morthland, which is, as I said, very strange. And before we get into the story, I do want to thank a lot of the YouTubers out there, because in piecing this together, I relied on a lot of their information, and they've been covering this for a while and sort of waiting for this to be taken on in a bigger capacity. So The Quartering was covering the story. Brittany Venti was covering the story, and she's subsequently had her account suspended. DeFango, he runs something called the Griftcast, which is, by the way, an excellent name, was covering the story. Blair White covered this story. I watched everyone's videos.
Emmanuel,
and so I do just want to credit YouTubers. A lot of times YouTubers find these stories, and then the stories get bigger and nobody ever credits them.
From his page
and because I started on YouTube, it's important for me to credit those people. So this individual began trending, and I will tell you why the story matters. The story matters because this individual purports to be a sex trafficking victim. Not only does this individual purport to be a sex trafficking victim, it is basically their claim to any exposure, their claim to fame is having been a sex trafficking victim who is going out there and doing the hard work. Because imagine you live through sex trafficking and maybe you want to dedicate the rest of your life to making sure that no other individual suffers it. Now, for me personally, why is this story important to cover? Because sex trafficking matters. I have been passionate about all of these anti-trafficking efforts ever since I met Tim Ballard. You guys know that in a personal capacity, I give to Operation Underground, because when I sat with him and he really explained to me what these victims go through, what some of these victims go through, and he actually adopted 2 children after rescuing them from Haiti. At the ages of 2 and 3, you imagine a hurricane takes place in Haiti, and it's an opportunity for human sex traffickers to descend into chaos and to take children and to sell them to be trafficked across the world. He is also a big reason why I am adamantly against pornography and the effects that it has on our humanity, and my understanding that many of the people that perform in these porn videos could potentially be sex trafficked. They have found victims of sex trafficking on Pornhub. And so this has become a passion of mine. But notice that I say that I'm passionate about this and I donate to the cause and I expose these issues. I don't claim to be a sex trafficking victim myself. Because to support these issues, you don't have to pretend to be a sex trafficking victim. That would be a very odd thing to do. More than odd, that's not even a strong enough adjective. It would be a demented thing to do. You'd be a very sick individual if you pretended to be a sex trafficking victim because it got you attention and it got you in touch with the right people. So that is why this issue matters, because people are claiming that Eliza Bleu, who claims to be a sex trafficking victim, is not one. In fact, they claim that she has been a person who has been involved in the sex industry willingly in her pursuit for fame and has failed to become famous for decades. She's now in her 40s. And then finally she realizes that if she says she's a sex trafficking victim and she tweets at Elon Musk, she can get attention. And that's happened. She has a relationship or had a relationship with Elon Musk, and she has helped to influence Twitter decisions pertaining to sex.
I've been getting paid
Oh, for fuck's sake.
$1,000.
All right, so turn this dumb cunt off. So, we're going to get into more of it here. Here we go.
She is is another reason why it matters, using sex trafficking to essentially erase her past, a very shaped.
By the way, has anyone noticed that the fucking commercials on YouTube are out of control? If you don't pay for it and you're just watching shit, I like to watch the Angry Joe show. He does the video game segments and he talks about them. And him and OG Joe, and then they make me laugh. So it keeps me in a good mood. I just like watching it, even if I don't give a shit about what's going on. They make me laugh. And to watch a half-hour video, I get like 3 fucking commercials of absolute garbage from YouTube. Has anyone noticed this? The fucking commercials that they're shoving down your throats of not even relevant. If you're gonna shove this garbage down my throat, can you at least fucking give me a commercial that's relevant? Not some shit game I don't want to play, or some dumb bitch telling me about a product I don't fucking want. Can, at least if you're stealing my info, and you're listening to me when I talk on my phone, and you're storing all of that, so then I talk about how I need shampoo, and then I go on my phone, and I get 5 ads about what fucking shampoo are. How come I can't go on YouTube and get one fucking commercial to something relevant that I want? Is this driving anyone else nuts? All right, moving on.
Lady pass that anybody should have the ability to ask her questions regarding. Imagine if you work at a company and you get a legal letter from someone saying, oh, that video of me twerking in a video, you can't use that video of me twerking in rap videos because I was sex trafficked during that time. That there's a bigger issue going on here.
So this is what she's talking about in the video that got removed from my YouTube page. I'm not even going to be able to repost it again, even if I could find it, because they're just going to strip it again. So it was Eliza Bleu. She's in a video for World Star Hip Hop. That's the record label that just takes attractive women, women who apply for this, right? And she talked about this originally, and she said she was on like MySpace, Instagram, like the old school shit. Some of it is, MySpace is kind of gone, unfortunately, because that was legit, and we've got fucking Facebook and Twitter to replace it. But she was on those, and again, looking for fame, like Blind Date and America's Got Talent and the other things that I told you that she was on. And you can find these videos if you're good enough. You go out there. I posted them on my video. They've been deleted by YouTube, but she went on the show, the old show, Blind Date in the 90s, 96, whatever it was. She went on this date with this other dude. She was interviewed by him, and they're trying to find love and, yada, yada. And she's talking about how she's already had sex before. And then she's claiming she's like in her 20s or something when she's on Blind Date. I don't even know. Her age is about what she is all over the place. So she's established this pattern of looking for fame. And then she says in another interview that she reaches out to the owner or whatever, one of the producers of World Star Hip Hop, and she says, "Hey, I'm here. I'm willing to be in one of your videos. I've got this many thousand followers." She didn't have a lot at the time, compared to what people have nowadays. I mean, I don't have fucking shit, but what people had nowadays, she didn't have anything back then. It was like 1,000 followers, maybe 3,000 followers. And she's like, "Hey, I'd like to be in a video. I'd like to get some exposure. I'd like to work with you guys. Let me know if you're interested in bringing me in and bringing me on a project." So a lot of these girls that they have, their background, right, in these rappers' videos, and they're there for eye candy, while the shit rappers, who are mostly garbage, are doing their thing. So everyone starts from somewhere. Some of them are really good, and of course they've got the girls in there. Some of them are really bad, and they still got the girls in there anyway. The girls are there for the eye candy. It's to help to keep people engaged in your video. So she reaches out to World Star Hip Hop willingly, voluntarily. The owner contacts her back and says, "Yeah, sure, that works. You got like 3,000 followers. You're online. You've got a following. That's some exposure. You can help get us. That helps continue to promote World Star Hip Hop and the things that we're doing." Okay? So they agree to bring her on, and they agree to put her in a video. And she was in at least 3 videos. In the video that got deleted, the story that got deleted from my YouTube, I showed everybody 2 videos that she was in. 2 separate videos with rappers where she was in a bikini, dancing provocatively, doing her thing, and participating willingly in this, okay? This is why it matters. You say, Matt, what the fuck does it matter if a chick is dancing in a bikini in a video? I want to see that shit. So do I. The point is now with the exposure that she's getting with this story and what's happening, she's reached out to World Star Hip Hop. She's twisted her story to say, well, at the time that I agreed to be part of your videos, I was a victimized person, so I'd really appreciate it if you just removed me from everything, even though I did it voluntarily. Remove me from everything, and people are showing this on YouTube, people are sharing this on YouTube, I did, as I just said, and I don't want that out there anymore. So they started reaching out to everybody, this company now, and saying that, while, yes, we own the rights to this video, and the people that were in it all signed a contract being in this video willingly, you're violating a copyright thing because a person has made a complaint, a privacy complaint, and you need to wipe all these videos out. That's why when you go on to Star Wars Girl, when you go on to Brittany Venti, when you go on to anyone else's page, when you go on to my page, you can't find this video anymore. I can't show this video to you anymore. Even if I went somewhere on the dark web or something, found that video right now and put it on, I'm going to lose this whole show just for showing you the video. Because on the other show that I just did, I played the video she was in. I talked throughout the entire video to make sure there wasn't a copyright strike or any issues. It doesn't matter. They struck the entire fucking show. Over an hour and a half. YouTube wiped it out. Because of this bullshit privacy thing that she's pushing. Now, there's a lot I said at the time, and we're going to get into that. But let's continue with what Candace is saying here.
Well, people are obviously going to pull down the video. They're not going to ask for the questions. It's not worth the legal headache. And she is having YouTubers' accounts suspended for talking about her history, right? So people are getting hit with strikes. People are getting hit with suspensions on Twitter. Brittany Venti her account has been frozen. She's in some temporary lock. I don't know if it's temporary or permanent on Twitter because she raised valid questions regarding.
And I believe Brittany Venti is still suspended on Twitter right now. The quartering, I'm 50-50 with the quartering right now. I know I'm just a guy walking in the door, so who am I, right? But the quartering's a grifter, and he's going to tell you that he's a grifter, right? He sells a shit coffee. He fucking talks about it 10 times a fucking video. Yeah, he won't shut the fuck up about it. I mean, if your coffee company is doing great, why do you have to sell it 10 times a fucking video? And so he said that he, in solidarity for Brittany Venti, he went online and he supported her and he showed again what Brittany Venti, and Brittany was saying, listen, she had started seeing all this and following all this, and as the same as myself and others who were first covering this like over a month ago, and she said, okay, if you've been sex trafficked and if you've gone through all the horrible things you're saying, why are all these videos of you shaking your ass? Why are you talking about people offering you $150,000 for sex and you turned it down? You know, why are you flipping one thing and the other thing? So, Brittany, for showing this video, was blocked on Twitter. And then the quartering came on, Jeremy the quartering, and he did, and I've got my personal issues with Jeremy because he's got Sydney Watson on his show, which is just the fucking crybaby who left the Blaze because she didn't like what Elijah Wood, or whatever the fuck his name is, was being inappropriate, and so she broke off from them, left. He was a womanizer and all this stuff. Now she's doing her own thing, and her and the quartering are doing their own little fucking show in between. And I've watched a couple episodes of that, and Sydney Watson just seems to me like a milquetoast conservative at best. And at worst, she's a whining feminist who's trying to find her popularity and her payday too. And again, I'll reiterate, I'm a guy at the bottom of the rung of the ladder. I hardly have any followers at all. And so who am I, right? But I got into this to fight the culture war and to fight back against cancel culture and to fight back against the bullshit and the milquetoast crap. And just the more I see of like the Quartering, Sydney Watson, and others, as I'm getting into more of this YouTube stuff and I'm watching more of them, and I'm watching multiple shows and I'm seeing what they're doing, they strike me as like either one, fake conservatives that are trying to get your vote and get your money by pretending that they seriously give a shit about all this, or two, they're milquetoast at the minimum. So they're like middle of the road, like, well, this is happening, but also maybe you shouldn't, like, fuck you. The left is the enemy. Don't be fucking milquetoast about it. And you know what? You know who sues everybody and fucking cries tears and rivers? The fucking left-wing white bitches and everybody else. That's who does it. And that's what Sydney Watson did. She fucking cried a fucking river. She left the blaze. And no woman should have to go through sexual harassment. No woman should be touched inappropriately that doesn't want it. No woman should have to go through any of that, so I can be clear. But you're dealing with that in your workplace. You were part of another show that helped make you because you were fucking nobody before you were on it. And then you don't like what was happening. You didn't like the host. You didn't like how you were being treated. So you quit and you left. You started your own show. You have your voice to talk to other people about what happened to you on your own show. But that isn't good enough. You have to fucking cry about it. And now you got to sue the Blaze. And you've got to sue that person over what happened. That's what left-wing crybabies do. So anyone that's being fooled by Sydney Watson, I please bear this in mind. Don't fucking buy it. She wasn't raped. Nothing bad, nothing serious happened to her. She was in a bad situation. She removed herself from that situation. That's what an adult does. That's what all of us deal with every fucking day. I'm not throwing out lawsuits like they're going out of style over it. I dealt with it. I learned. I left. I moved on to something better. I don't need to cry a fucking river and sue somebody over it. The reason I'm saying that is she's a milquetoast, the worst fake conservative. And then you've got somebody like the Quartering saying that she's a good person, advocating for her, and having her on his show, which makes him a fucking fake conservative by default too. Now, why does any of that matter? Who gives a shit, right? He's turned around, the Quartering. I know, I'm fucking going off the rails on this, but bear with me. He shit on Tim Pool. Because Tim Pool had Eliza Bleu on his show. And then the Quartering is shit on Tim Pool for not coming out and saying more about Eliza Bleu, about not calling the bullshit over this whole situation, right? He's not necessarily wrong about that. But Tim Pool is doing a news show. He's doing a conservative show. But he's also a businessman who is bringing guests on, and he's making money, and he's getting views and expansion over everything that he's doing, right? So you're going to end up having a guest on that is not who they say they are. You're going to end up having a guest on that you disagree with. Now, yes, you should say something to that effect. If there's a guest that I have on my show that I disagree with, I should be clear and say I don't disagree with them, but we're going to have a discussion. If I have a guest on like Eliza Bleu, who comes on the show, and then after the fact I find out she's a grifter and she's a scumbag, yeah, it's probably helpful that I have a commentary on that afterwards. But he's trying to be careful. He's trying to play, which can be dangerous, especially when you're alienating your viewer base. But Tim Pool is trying to be careful because you are going to dissuade other guests from ever coming on your show again if you speak out too strongly or too negatively against someone that you had on. Right? Anybody else that looks at that, and hey, you can say, again, you can unpack and break this whole thing down. And you can say, well, listen, I only want fucking good people that are conservatives and are pro-patriots and they're on the same page, or at least they believe in their fucking message, and yada yada. That's the only ones that I want on my show. But that's not the way humanity works. People lie. People are grifters. People play games. And you have to do your best to cut through the bullshit to find that game. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are going to be powerful people who you want to be able to talk to, you want to be able to interact with or have on your show. It raises your stature and the people you're able to get to because you have these people on your show, right? You may think Bill Clinton's a piece of shit. He is. But if you have him on your show, huge ratings just because you're talking to this fucking scumbag. Now, it's going to be a little more difficult to really ask him the questions or really get to the nitty-gritty because obviously a scumbag like that is not going to be forthcoming with you. And what I'm referencing here is a scumbag like Eliza Bleu is also not going to come on your show and be forthcoming with you. So it is interesting to have this human being on your show. But now you're navigating the pathways of getting the truth for them, as close to the truth as you can manage, or just having an interesting conversation. And then after the fact, when it's over, you have to come out and say, this fucking bitch. Let me fucking tell you about this fucking bitch, right? And fair enough if you're talking about this and you're calling out the bullshit that happened. The problem is other guests are going to look at your show now and go, Tim Pool, all right. You know who you are, right, as a human being. You know that your message or your background or what it is that you're trying to do is full of shit. You are convincing the rest of the world, to the best of your ability, that you're a legit human being. But when you go on this show, you want an interview, you want exposure, you want to talk about things, but you do not want to expose your bullshittedness, right? I know it's not a word, but you get what I'm saying. So less people are going to be inclined to be on your show, which puts Tim Pool in a bad situation. Because if he comes out hardcore against somebody else, like Eliza Bleu, in this situation, what we're talking about, you're going to turn other guests off. So, in my opinion, he's got to try to be neutral to the best of his ability. And it's possible they knew about her. I mean, there were videos that another YouTuber showed where, I don't know about Tim Pool, but at least his crew, Ian and the others, were actually hanging out with her behind the scenes. There is video of that. I forget the YouTuber's name. But, and she was being very sexual. I think it was with Ian, the kind of geeky guy with the long hair. He's always talking about how you can use some fucking thing to clean the environment with. He's on it about all the time on the show. So, because I know change.org, Luke and the others have left and moved on. Not because they had an issue with Tim, but they moved on to do other things. I think change.org, Luke went to Florida, and now he's doing his own show and he's doing his own thing, and I really like him. But Ian and some of the others are still there, and you know they are what they are. But there was video that they were hanging out with her behind the scenes, and there was actual video. You could see all of them hanging out. I don't think Tim Pool was in that video, not the one I saw. But the other cast members were, at least the male cast members. And she was a little handsy and kind of hanging out with them and wrapping her legs on one of them. And if you don't want to take my word for it, I invite you to go on and find that video and see the behind the scenes thing, right? So now there's talk that Tim Pool and Tim's crew was biased in favor of Eliza Bleu. Okay, fair enough. I don't know enough about that. But again, it's if he talks too negatively about a guest, you come on my show, We have a candid conversation. I talk about everything. We chit-chat. Maybe I ask you the hard questions. Maybe I don't. I don't know. This is a hypothetical. And then after I'm done, you go on your way and I go back to my show. And then after you're gone, I talk a whole bunch of shit about you, or I find out something new about you, and then I fucking put it all on blast, right? Okay, I can do that. That's my right, and you can say that I should do it. But after that is going to put a negative aspect on future guests that want to come on my show, because they know if they get outed, if something happens, I'm going to go back on my show, I'm going to put it on blast, and you're going to be fucked. Right? And the people want that. The people are just saying, just be fucking honest. Just, you have Eliza Bleu on your show. She's full of shit. You find out later on that Eliza Blue's full of shit. Come out and say something. Right? So the quartering and to give him fair due, a lot of the people who watch the quartering were doing super chats on Tim's show, so they're paying money in a super chat, and they're asking the question, "Why aren't you talking about Eliza Bleu? Why aren't you elaborating a little bit more?" And he wasn't doing it. So yes, in that aspect, I agree with you. You're right. If regular people who are listening to this show, who are giving you support and putting the effort in, and more importantly, their hard-earned money, and they're asking you a question, you should answer it. If I get to the point, and I don't care what the fuck it is, someone's paying money for it, you should answer it. Or they're the reason you have a livelihood, they're the reason you're popular, you should not ignore these people. So if I get to the point where I have super chats, I have several thousand followers, if you're super chatting me a question and you're paying me money to ask this question, I should answer it to the best of my ability, or the best within appropriate reason to do it, right? You don't have to swear or snap on the subject or whoever it is, but this person has paid you money. The least you can do it is address it a little bit. And between the quartering and Tim Pool, that was an issue that was there, so he's right about that. At least that. And I know I'm going off the rails a little bit, but this is all enveloping the Eliza Bleu situation. So she was on Tim Pool's show. She's been on the Daily Wire as well. She's told her show on the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire, to the best of my knowledge, has not come out and had anything to say about interviewing this woman and hearing her story and then not having any follow-up about it. So the Daily Wire is not being held for their responsibility in interviewing this woman and saying, we have some concerns that she's not a legitimate person. And now after all the action she's taken on shooting people down and having their matter deleted, now I have serious concerns that she's not legitimate. I was uncomfortable about saying it before because obviously you do not want to dissuade a woman who has gone through sex trafficking or allegedly gone through sex trafficking. Now that it seems like more and more information comes out and that she hasn't been, or really she's been a little more of a victim of her circumstance, like she wanted to be popular, she wanted to be famous, so she really kind of went out of her way to do what she could to be famous, that she wasn't sex trafficked in the traditional sense, like it was a young girl who was kidnapped, put in a box, sent to Venezuela, and then sold to whoever paid the price to spend time with her. You know, that's what you think of when you think of sex trafficking. She has her own kind of determination of sex trafficking, and it doesn't really fit genuine people who have been sex trafficked, and therein lies a problem. If there's a woman who has been legitimately sex trafficked, they have gone through hell. They were taken, either as a child or a teenager. They were taken, and they were sold to other men and used as a product to other people. And then somehow they were able to escape, or they were rescued down the road. That's a legitimate, horrific situation. And that's the person who should speak out and advocate for other people. I mean, Eliza Bleu could say, I advocate for sex trafficked victims and not be sex trafficked. I can do the same thing. I can say, obviously and very clearly, sex trafficking is bad. Women and children should not have to go through this, and we should do everything within our power to make sure it happens. I've never been sex trafficked. It doesn't mean that I can't support them as a normal human being. The problem lies in when you claim you were sex trafficked and you weren't, but then you use it as a grift to gain popularity, followers, money, and everything else. And we're going to get into it where she's been doing fundraisers, okay? Right here. I've got Eliza Blue's fundraiser right here on GoFundMe, okay? And this was her taking a trip. We're going to get into this. This is Eliza. This is her. She was looking for money. $2,000 has been raised for her. $2,205 thus far for her goal of $2,600. And I don't know if she's cashed out on this or not. But she was taking a trip to go to a conference to talk. And she's on GoFundMe trying to get herself money. Okay? Pretending that she's a sex survivor, a sex trafficking survivor, and then she's going to advocate for other people. Now, if you're a regular human being who thinks and knows that this is awful, and you set up a GoFundMe so you can go talk to other people or go try to help other people who are being sex trafficked or advocate for them, be my guest. If you're pretending that you're sex trafficked, and then you're setting up GoFundMes and other shit to make yourself money to take a little fucking vacation to go do a talk, that's wrong, right? It's like those people who say, I have cancer. I'm setting up a GoFundMe to support me because I have cancer. Please help me so I can pay my bills and live my life. And then they're full of shit and they don't actually have cancer. But a whole bunch of people who felt that and they're hurt by it and they want to help that person. So they gave a whole bunch of money and they were taken advantage of because the person doesn't have cancer. This is a very similar thing in saying that you're a sex trafficking survivor and you're not actually that. That you're advocating for sex trafficking survivors does not X out your lies about being a sex trafficked survivor. One doesn't wipe the slate clean over the other. You're still a piece of shit by pretending that you were a sex trafficked survivor, because you're not. All right, we'll continue here.
Regarding the history of this Eliza Blue. So let's get into it, because I have, as you guys know, great contempt for women who lie. I don't like women who lie about their history. I don't like women who pretend to be victims of abuse because they're ashamed of things that they potentially did in their past. And it's happening a little too often. We're expanding definitions. So we used to understand what sex trafficking was. We used to understand that it had to include some element of coercion, right? You have to be coerced to perform these sex acts. It's unusual then that a individual who always was in contact with her parents, was very close with her two parents.
Let's bear something in mind. When Candace says you have to be coerced, right? The consent portion of that conversation can apply to somebody who's 18 plus, that you willingly agree to it. If you're a minor, if you're 16 or 17, wherever the laws are in the individual states, if you're 17, 16 or below, being coerced into doing it is not accurate, right? Because you cannot be coerced into something that you cannot actually consent to. So if a 15-year-old girl says that she wants to have sex with a man, she was coerced into it, and she decided to go ahead and do it. None of that situation is legal. The girl could not consent to that. Her parents have to be okay with it, first of all. And again, that's even depending on state laws. Just basically, not even the parents can agree to it. It should not happen, period. And the man, who was the older man, conceivably, who, unless it was another 15-year-old, then you've got this gray area of young teens who are in love with young teens. But putting that aside, in the normal circumstances, it's an older man who is looking at this younger girl. So the younger girl cannot agree, cannot consent to this interaction. And the older man has clearly violated the law by pushing to be a part of this interaction. So I don't know if Candace is not being clear about that or she's just kind of moving on to her point. But I want to be clear about that. There is no minor that can consent to having intercourse, having sexual relations with somebody else. You're too young to do it. The law doesn't allow it. There's reasons that the law doesn't allow it. You cannot consent to it. 18 plus, you can consent to it, and then there's maybe some moral arguments that can be made that you were coerced, tricked into having that, and despite the fact that you're of legal age and you agreed to it, that you were coerced and tricked into that anyway. But then again, we're coming back to where you're in the age of consent. So you might have been tricked into it, but also you agreed to it. So then you're in the gray area at that point. But younger women, and this is where the age disagreement comes with Eliza, because she claims that it happened to her when she was younger. And there's been arguing points about what her age has been, because she's lied about it, about where her age was when she was doing some of the things that she was doing. And the other problem with Eliza's situation is she has refused, up to present date, up to today, when I'm filing this, when I'm putting this show up, she's refused to name the people who have trafficked her. Why? Why would you do that? If someone robs me right now, right? Someone breaks into my house and they rob me. Why wouldn't I name, if I find them on camera or I know who they are, why wouldn't I name them? Unless there's a reason I won't name them, because they'll implicate me once they're captured, right? So I've been robbed by somebody. But the reason I was robbed by somebody was because I bought drugs off of them. I didn't pay them. So they became angry. So they went to my home and they robbed me. And then when the police are asking me what happened, I go, I'd rather not name the assailant, the criminal in this whole situation. There's a reason I won't do it. Because if I say who they are, they're going to blow my spot up too. Why did you rob this dude? Is it random? You just decided you liked his house? No, this motherfucker owed me money. That's why I robbed him. That's why I stole his shit. To make the bill even. So, she's refusing to name the alleged people who sex trafficked her. If it's very clearly one-sided, why wouldn't you name who did that thing to you? There's a reason you won't, and it isn't out of fear, because she goes all over the place having interviews and talking about it all the time. It's gaining her popularity. It's gaining her money. It's gaining her attention. She's not afraid to talk about her situation. So why won't she name her sex traffickers? Because her sex traffickers, alleged sex traffickers, are going to blow up her spot. Because her story's bullshit. That's the reason you don't put their names on blast.
Parents, as Eliza Bleu was, then Eliza Morthland, an individual who went back to her parents' farm, an idyllic childhood. She was born in 1981. She grew up homeschooled on a farm in Illinois. This is not your standard sex trafficking story. It's very weird that she, with the consent of her parents, moves to LA, Los Angeles.
So, ironically, on her interview with the Daily Wire, and she wasn't interviewed by Candace, she was interviewed by somebody else, but in the Daily Wire. It wasn't one of their major people. It wasn't Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or Candace or any of them. She had an interview with somebody else. I don't remember who it was. Ben ended up referencing her on one of his shows, I think, but he was not the one that interviewed her. But in their interview, one of her excuses was, she said, I was homeschooled. I only knew good people like my parents. So when I ran away to California, I didn't really know who or what bad people were, and that was the reason I could be taken advantage of. That's what she said in the interview to the Daily Wire. And then when she goes to California, she's online, she's on video, and she's like, it's almost like a biography. She's being videoed through everything that she's doing, a lot of it. Hanging out with the band, hanging out with friends, going on tour with them, My Chemical Romance, being at bars, hanging out with these other fucking people, talking to her mom, and she video records the conversation with her mom, telling her that she's in the World Hip Hop Star video. Like, she's cataloging her entire life. Again, sex traffic victims don't get to catalog their life. They don't get the luxury of that. They get snatched by somebody, thrown in a car, thrown in a box, taken somewhere else that they've never been before, and then these horrible things happen to them. The sex trafficked kids or teenagers are not posting on MySpace, not posting on TikTok, not posting on fucking Instagram, not doing videos with their mom and with others, and recording all of this shit and their time frame through all of it. The sex trafficked people, the sex trafficked women, and boys it happens to too, don't get the luxury of recording their fucking adventure. She's been doing it since the beginning. Since she left home and went to California. She's been fucking putting all of this online. You can find all the videos until she started reaching out to people and making the arrangements to have all the proof deleted. Elon Musk, or his new bullshit head of trust and safety, or whatever, Mr. Freedom of Speech, Elon Musk, who's full of fucking shit because my account is banned on Twitter now. I'm on read only. That's a luxury of what I got. For saying that a transgenderism is mental illness, I got put on read only. I can never gain a follower, post anything, or do anything else again other than look at shit on Twitter. That's Mr. Freedom of Speech on there and his new fucking crew. Elon Musk is full of shit. He's not the real deal. He bought Twitter. I mean, from a totally neutral stance, kudos to Elon Musk for buying Twitter and fucking going boss mode and be like, you want to tell me what I can and can't say? I'm going to buy your fucking company and then I'm going to say whatever I want. Boss mode for Elon. Fuck everybody else that isn't a high-level elite with millions of followers. If you're not that, if you're just me and you have a handful of followers, you don't fucking matter. You're not on Elon Musk's radar. He doesn't give a fuck about you. And again, that's why you know the elite are fucking fakes. They don't know what real life is. They don't give a fuck about you. You don't matter. Even if you can comment on their shit, maybe they even liked something that you said. They still don't fucking care about you. But he likes Eliza bleu shit. He's following her. He's been advocating for her. He's promoted her page and got her like 100,000 plus followers because people saw that Elon Musk put her name on there, so they naturally migrated and followed her. But she's a liar, she's a grifter, and he's not changing that because he doesn't care. And his new fucking head of trust and safety, or whoever the fuck this bitch is, who Eliza is communicating with, because there's messages out there showing that the two of them are going back and forth and she's working with Twitter. She doesn't give a fuck about the regular people anyway. And this is why the regular people have to fight back against this shit. Because I'm going to say a controversial thing. The elites don't matter. The regular people do. We're the reason they're anyone. We're the reason they matter. None of these Hollywood actors, The Rock, or Taylor Swift, any of these people, they wouldn't be jack shit if it wasn't for the mass of people following them, supporting them, and buying their garbage. They would just be another Joe Schmo. No one would... The Rock would just be a fucking weightlifter. Taylor Swift would just be another fucking chick who can't find a boyfriend. She just fucking goes from one relationship to another, to another, to another. No one would fucking care who she is.
After high school.
Other than, oh, Taylor Swift? Yeah, I dated her. She's out of her mind. She has no idea what she wants. The Rock? Yeah, I work out with him at the gym. He's a fucking ass. He's jacked. He's on roids. He's a fucking asshole. No one else would give a fuck. But they've been projected up on their fucking pedestals, looking down on all of us because they forget where they came from, or they were from a rich family and they already had a leg up, or a well-to-do family that was well-known in Hollywood or this or whatever, so they get a leg up and that gives them even more, and the rest of us just follow them and worship them, and then at the end of the day, we don't matter. And this is one of the reasons I started my show, the Relief Valve Podcast, because we matter. The people matter. Your voice matters. The taxpayers matter. And I don't give a fuck if The Rock and Taylor Swift pay their taxes. I don't give a fuck. They're rich cunts who think they're better than us. They're not. And the sooner that all of us realize that and fight back against that mindset, the better off we could all be. It seems like a simple, stupid message, but it's really something. When you see these, when people get upset enough and they start boycotting something, and you don't spend your money on it anymore, and it crashes, right? These woke movies. I'll give you an example. Bros, that movie Bros. It was the gay rom-com, and it was just essentially a gay porn that got put into the theaters. And they tried to make it like a normal movie and a normal thing. I mean, the thing tanked. It hardly made anything. Because the people expressed their feeling with their wallets. And they said how they felt about that garbage. I don't want to see gay porn in the movie theater. You can live that way, and you can do your thing if you want. I don't want it in my fucking face. I don't want to see it in the movie theater. That's not normal. It's not cool. And the director was fucking flipping out. Oh, it's fucking bigots and people who hate gays and all this other stuff. It's like, no, I just don't want to fucking see it. You can be gay if you want. I don't want a movie on it. And you can't force me to go see it. If more people fight back against shit like this, and this, again, I'm working my way back to the Eliza Bleu thing here. More people fight it back against bitches like this, who lie, who build up a following, who find others to support her. If you fight back against her, and this is what all these YouTubers are doing, Brittany Venti, Star Wars Girl, Yellow Flash, Yellow Flash is banned on YouTube, Twitter as well, to the best of my knowledge still. When you get these people fighting back, and myself as well, support this and fight this. Shut these grifters down. These fakes who pretend there's something, pretend they've gone through something. If you want to go on GoFundMe and just say, hey, I need $1,000 because I'm fucking bored and I want to go out and do something, I mean, go for it. You're probably not going to get anywhere, but at least you're not fucking lying about what you're trying to do. If you go online and say, hey, you know what? I'm having a hard time paying my bills. $1 million would really fucking help out. Yeah, it would. Who can disagree with that? At least just fucking go out and say it. But don't say, well, I have cancer and I was sex trafficked, so I need $1 million. You're full of fucking shit. You lied. And you have shit on the other people who are legitimately going through this and their life is hell.
And this is the first time that she tells a story when she goes back into her childhood and says that she was
go and refresh
sex
my drink.
trafficked. So let's hear her, just her on a past podcast, describing the first incident in which she was sex trafficked. Take a listen.
So before I turned 18, my father drove me out to Los Angeles with the small amount of possessions that I owned. When I got to Los Angeles, within 48 hours, I was addicted to a drug that I only know as ice. I don't know what it was. This is quite a while ago because now I'm 39 years old. So back then I was 17. So I don't know what it was, but it started off with the famous musician offering me a couple beers. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in. I didn't really know any better. I hadn't come from an environment where drinking and drugs were a part of my history. And after I had had a little bit of cocktails, then the drugs were offered. I was under the influence, and then the serious grooming started. The gentleman who promised me the world ended up selling me after a couple days.
Gentlemen.
I remember it clearly. I was sold for $500 to a very older gentleman in the hills.
Anyone that's been through anything, any woman that's been raped, have you ever had a conversation about what you went through and said, well, the gentleman who raped me, has a thought ever occurred to you to refer to the man as gentleman? Well, the gentleman that I was sold to for $500. I'm going to read you a story later where some other people come out. Here it is. Some other people come out. It's on the Daily Beast. And they talk about what really happened. How she was essentially participating in prostitution voluntarily. Now, again, there can be an argument about whether she was 17 or not. I'm not familiar with California's laws of consent about what it could be 16 or 17. If California's laws of consent are 17, then her agreeing to have sex for money with another gentleman, as she says, was completely legal. I don't know what their laws of consent are. But there's a general point I'm trying to be making. One, you don't refer to the guy that you were pawned off for money as gentleman. And that you're being forced into all of it when you weren't necessarily, and you were actively and willingly participating in it. And we're going to get into that story when I get through this video.
The Hollywood Hills. And this gentleman ran I don't know really what to call it.
Yes, you do.
It was definitely it was a trafficking ring. It was a prostitution trafficking ring for transgender folks. And so that was basically the ultimate beginning of the end, was when I was sold to that guy.
So they thought she was a tranny? You got put into a transgender ring? Why wouldn't you have been put in a regular girl's trafficking ring? Why were you put in the tranny ring? They thought you were a tranny? That's just weird.
So she describes it as one incident in which she was sold. She has no proof that the incident took place. She says she had a drug overdose around this exact same time. And she tells a journalist, just I think last week, that she had a drug overdose. She called her parents. The hospital called her parents. They picked her up, brought her back to the Illinois farm. And she stayed on the farm for 1 week, and then she went right back to LA. Now, call me crazy. You get sex trafficked, you have a drug overdose, and your parents come, and you end up back on your farm in Illinois. Odd behavior to then get right back into it. But you see, she talks about the fact that she had a boyfriend, right? And so the way that she, in each incident, because she's going to say she got sex trafficked only one other time later, she admits that these were relationships that she had, right? And she's kind of recasting these relationships. And what sounds to me, she admits that she was a drug addict, and she sounds to me like she's been a drug addict for decades, that these individuals maybe got her to escort herself, okay? Now let's move on. So that's around 1999. She moves to when she's around 18 years old. She says she's underage. There's no proof of that. Somebody looked into her record. She was 18 years old when she got an apartment. I don't even know how you would be able to get an apartment in LA if you were not actually 18 years old.
I buy the same products you do.
Right, so we got this dumb fuck doing a commercial. But again, that's the age discrepancy is what Candace is talking about.
Apartment to 17-year-olds. But she moves to LA.
The fucking commercials again. See,
to become famous.
Haven't even
And the
played
next
the video.
time she pops up on the radar is in 2002. So she's around 21 years old, and she tries out for Blind Date. You guys remember that show?
See?
Where they would get two people, and they would say, "Oh, you're going to go on a blind date today," and they would describe who they were to the camera. Here is Eliza, around the age of 21 years old,
we go. Here's a
trying
blind
out
date.
for Blind Date.
Now, Eliza lives a rock and roll lifestyle. She says she's pretty exciting,
Rock
but she
and
still has
roll
problems
lifestyle.
when it
She
comes to
likes it
men.
in the end.
I'm self-seeking, self-centered, and fear-based. And I have high expectations as far as sex goes. Sometimes they ask me, like, were you faking? Was that real? And I'm like, about the hair. It was
I have high expectations. I like it wild and rough, like when I was sex trafficked, but I'm not going to say it here.
Certain type of guy to appreciate it.
So she's sexualizing herself. Did her pimp boyfriend make her do that? Did she make her try out and go on a blind date on a show and to say things about how she is in bed? I don't know. Doesn't really seem like a victim to me in there, but who knows? Who knows? There can be all sorts of weird victim circumstances. She's not pretending, by the way, that she was sex trafficked during this period, because it was an isolated incident that we just went over. But that didn't stop her from being in LA and hitting the party scene. So that's in 2002, when she's around 21. Then we see her pop up again in 2005. So she's around 24, 25 years old, and she's still in this rock and roll emo phase. Around this time, she gains a cosmetology license in LA. She starts styling musicians. I'm putting
romance, I believe.
In air quotations here, because she really begins dating Gerard Way, who is the singer of My Chemical Romance. You guys remember My Chemical Romance? I still run to their music. Really fun music. This is her emo phase, and they're dating, and all of the My Chemical Romance fans hate her. They say that she's a stalker. They say that she is just in it for the fame. And
again, there was another girl that was in this clique when she's doing this at this time, who makes like a MySpace montage of her own, and she's talking about how crazy Eliza is. She's talking about how she's obsessed with the lead singer, how after he breaks up with her, she cannot let it go. She keeps stalking him, making montages of her own, and won't leave the band and other people alone about the split up. And she's obsessed with the guy. Okay, so all of this is in a time when she's supposed to be sex trafficked. But instead, it points more towards she's a groupie in a band who's chasing the band members around and is in love with the lead singer. Again, not a crime to be in love with the lead singer, not a crime to have strong feelings. It's a crime to claim you were being sex trafficked when you weren't. That's a problem.
And why would that be true? I mean, a girl moves to LA for what other reasons in Los Angeles, but no. She really loves him. They break up, and she goes on to write fan fiction about My Chemical Romance after their breakup. Again, this sounds to me like a girl who would have done anything for fame, but don't let me give you my judgment about it. Let's fast forward to 2010, where she appears and she tries out, and now she's 29 years old. This is not a kid. This is not a kid that's being manipulated. This is a full adult person that is running the gamut through Hollywood, trying to become famous. She tries out for American Idol. Okay, she doesn't make it. She doesn't become famous on American Idol, so she's tried singing. She's tried being the girlfriend of. She's tried blind date. She's trying the reality circuit.
See, and that photo right there, this was in my show before. She was in, like, Vanity Fair magazine. When she was trying out for American Idol, they actually did a piece on her. And they said that she was one of the contenders and had a really good chance. Okay? That's the pic that I think it was Vanity Fair that put up, that was talking about all the contestants on the show. But she was one of the ones they focused on and said she had a really good chance to get through it. Again, in anyone's opinion at all that's going to watch this, do you see sex trafficking survivors, in the middle or end of all of their struggles ending up on Vanity Fair? Do you see them on Blind Date looking to meet another guy who was some fucking rocker loser with, Candace didn't get into that part. I had it on my show. Again, it was deleted. Trying to find love and get a date. And really, the love and the date part doesn't matter. She's doing it to get fame. She's on TV, she's being interviewed, she's part of the show, and that's getting her exposure for everything on Blind Date. And now it's America's Got Talent, or whatever the fuck this was. That was this is the picture from it.
Out for her. A couple of years later, she's now in her 30s. Okay? She's the same age as me. She's in her early 30s, from about 30 to 33 years old. She admits that she's low on money. She admitted this in an interview, and that she was having difficulty. She had moved to Chicago during this period, and she was having difficulty affording rent at her Wicker Park apartment. Okay, so she's low on cash. We know that she drinks. We know that she does drugs, and she decides to try to get a job as a cocktail waitress at a strip club. But while she was
And again, I don't fucking care that she drinks and she does drugs. I don't care. If you want to do those things, I'm having a drink right now. I'm having rum and coke. I don't fucking care that you do it. I care that you claim you're something you're not. That's the entire point of all of this that we're getting to. And the reason I'm beating this dead horse again about Eliza Bleu and putting it on my show. This, for me being an up and coming YouTuber, I had like 50 views on the show on our way to more before it was deleted by YouTube. That was exposure and an opportunity for my show to grow, to find more people that were interested in my show, what I have to say, how I do my news, and how I do things. That's wiped out, gone like they never seen it. If they didn't subscribe to the show or follow it, they were fucked after that. And she's having all of this removed because she doesn't like people talking about her background and her situation. Why is that? It's that old adage, and I know people have a problem with it. Well, if you don't have anything to hide, what are you fucking worried about, right? And I know, it's like, well, it's my business, so I don't need to, I'm fucking hiding it because it's my business. I get it. The general adage is for something major, if you don't have anything to hide, why are you hiding it? If I'm going to go on a GoFundMe, and I'm going to say I have cancer, and I'm asking for like $1 million from donations to help me buy my house, live my life, what's left of my life, have me take care of my children before I die. At the bare minimum, for all these people donating all this shit to me, I can provide proof I'm fucking dying. I am asking for people's hard-earned money. I am asking people to follow me and believe in what I have going on. Why can't I prove what I'm going through? As far as I'm concerned, it's the least I can do. If I have the audacity to reach out to all of you and ask for help and ask for money, can I at least not prove to you that my situation is legitimate? She won't do it. She won't name the people who sex trafficked her. She won't name the people that she got sold to, allegedly. She won't provide any of that. Why? Because they can turn shit around on you? Because what they did was wrong, yes, but you are also doing something and you were fucked up? It's simple. Name the dudes, have them arrested, vindicate yourself, move on 100% clear from everyone's talk and everyone's bullshit. You don't do it if they can fucking roll on you. That's why criminals don't roll on other criminals, right? Unless they offer you amnesty or they offer you a deal. One mob member doesn't roll on another mob member because you know you're going to end up getting killed in prison or somewhere else because you ran your mouth when you weren't supposed to. Or that guy's going to flip for immunity and fuck everyone else over. But she's not looking for immunity. She's not looking for... This isn't a case against her where she's trying to get immunity, so she's going to roll or keep her mouth shut about other people. She doesn't want to give their names. Why? I think we know the answer why.
At this interview, asking to be a cocktail waitress, she says that they instead said, hey, why don't you try to dance? And she was like, oh, yeah, good idea. And she gets up and she tries out as a dancer and she becomes a stripper. She says, again, I'd like to be clear, she's in her early 30s. She's my age right now. So don't let her make you think that she's removed as an innocent child. This is a girl that has spent her entire life trying to become famous. How do we know this? Well, a woman actually spoke out to the Daily Beast who knew her. She claims that they were friends and that during that time, and she's shocked that she's pretending that she was sex trafficked. She says during that time, she even tried to get me to be an escort. Carly Wenzel spoke out to the Daily Beast and she said, quote, Eliza was absolutely loving it. She was bragging about it, saying she was making so much money. She also went on to say that Eliza's a very powerful, very smart, intelligent woman. I will not discredit her for that. She knows exactly what she's doing.
That's the part that I believe. I believe she's smart. I believe that she wanted to get away from her family. She wanted fame and she wanted notoriety. She went out to California. She found circumstances that benefited her, and she rolled with them. Did she run into situations that were bad, that went sideways, and it was a difficult thing? Sure, I believe that. But has she ultimately gone through all this with a plan in mind? Yeah, I think she has. And now she's not only, and this is the part that's important, this is the reason we're talking about this. So I can be clear. I don't care that a woman does OnlyFans. I don't care that a woman gets in a bikini and dances in a music video. I don't care about any of that. However you do your hustle and make money, do you. I'm not judging you on that. If I can do the same thing, I'll do that too. I started a podcast because I feel strongly about going through all this, and also, if there's an opportunity for me to make money off of it, I would also like to do that too. If people support me, I would also like that too. I'm going to be honest about that. I don't blame any woman for doing any of these things. When you turn around and claim you're the victim, that's when I have a problem with it, because you have moved forward on this path willingly and voluntarily. You cannot say after that you're a victim when you went on the path. I mean, you can argue, well, I should have been born with a silver spoon in my mouth and $1 million in my bank account. Well, fuck. We all should have had that. We didn't. I'm not going to fault you for trying to get it. Right? There's women who do. I remember a story that Bill Burr told. Bill Burr, the comedian. I love him. And he told a story about how he went to do a private gig. And it was in Australia, I think. But he got hired for this private gig along with a couple of other comedians. And it was an Australian billionaire, whatever the fuck he was, some old fuck. And so he went to do this gig, and his girlfriend was Mariah Carey. I love Mariah Carey, right? She's attractive, she's got huge tits, natural, or she got them done, or whatever the fuck her deal is. But I like Mariah Carey's music, and also she has big tits. But let's not get bogged down on that. So he says he went to this, and the point that I'm making is right, Mariah Carey's a successful singer. She's attractive. She's making money. But also she's willingly dating this old millionaire fuck who she is way out of his league, but he's got a ton of money. And so if she asks him for something, I'm assuming he just goes, yeah, no problem. You want a Bugatti? Yeah, it'll be delivered here Monday. You know, you want an entire new wardrobe? No problem. I'll have it here next week. Or I'll have it here tomorrow. You know what I mean? They're doing what they need to do. It's so again, women have the power to do these things. I don't fault them for doing it. You know, I was thinking about this earlier before I did the show. And I thought about the stigma of women who are hookers or prostitutes, or, you know, these women that find a way to get through life and do their thing, right? And they're using their sexuality as a tool and a weapon and something that benefits them. And why not? Right? Because the Italian guy, the fucking Italian guy, the Australian guy that I just talked to you about is an old fuck who probably can't get it up anymore, but he's got millions of dollars. There's his weapon. So the attractive woman with huge tits and a nice body, the equivalent of that for the male is either really one of two things. Is the dude that's ripped in amazing shape who's using it for his own means, or the dude that's fucking ultra rich and he's using it for his means, right? So we as a society, we seem to shit on the woman for doing it. But for the male, it's like, he's got to do what he's got to do. But like, well, so isn't the woman. So the old fuck who's making circumstances for himself is using his money to get those circumstances. I mean, do you think that Mariah Carey actually fell in love with him? That they had a connection? And she's like, yeah, I like giant spiders and kangaroos too. This is so awesome. Can I move in? Like, no. Fucking guy's ultra rich. Like, you're in a wheelchair. You're an old fuck. You take a blue pill to get it up. And maybe I have to fool around with you once a month. And after that, you take a fucking nap. And I don't have to deal with you for 30 more days later. But in the meantime, you give me $1 million. Like, that fucking makes way more sense to me. And then the guy, on the other hand, is trying to find something, or trying to find connection, or just trying to get laid or whatever, and he goes to the woman who's offering that for money, but it's the woman who's a piece of shit. Like, no, the rich dude was the fucking piece of shit too, but he knows what he's doing. And that's a lure for women who want that money. And in the meantime, the attractive woman is the lure for men who are willing to pay for the access. Not arguing about whether it's right or wrong, or the morality about all of it. That's not what I'm trying to argue about. I'm saying that the women shouldn't be vilified for it, because they're using what they have, what's available to them, and they've learned that it's a very valuable commodity, extremely valuable, maybe even more valuable than gold, right? So now we look at Eliza Bleu, and I don't really know how she looks now, but through all of this, at least in my opinion, she seemed attractive. I know other people watch the videos and say she's fat, or her ass was jiggly, and all this other stuff, and like, you know, demeaning her on the visual front. But I thought she was attractive. So she did what every other woman is capable of, which is learning what those devices and what your power is worth and what you can do. She went to California, she figured this out, and then she started using this for different means to gain popularity, notoriety, all these other things. Okay, so again, great for her if that's her grift. But you can't say you're a sex trafficking survivor. You weren't. I mean, were there guys that took advantage of you while you were in California and while you were doing your thing? You know, maybe. But if we're going by the gauge of guys who took advantage of a woman throughout history, most of womanhood, by her fucking evaluation, would be victims of sex trafficking. It's unrealistic. It's not. It doesn't work. Or vice versa. The men that have been coerced by women and have lost all their money or lost all their shit or whatever it is, they were the victims of sex trafficking too. Like, there has to be a narrative, and it has to be something clear that describes the thing you're talking about. I can't say I had cancer because I looked at a piece of paper one time and the piece of paper said cancer, and I'm like, oh my God, cancer. And then later on when I'm talking to somebody, I can say, I'm the victim of cancer. No, you read it on a fucking paper. That's not cancer. You're trying to make an argument that somehow you're involved with it. You're not. And she's trying to make it here, and that's what it looks like. It looks like she has taken the failed experiment of her attempted, casting couch, right? Anyone that's learned about what women have gone through with that fucking producer there and porn or anything else. I've learned about the notorious casting house, right? With the camera. How you doing? What would you do to get a job here? That shit. That's not sex trafficking. A woman shouldn't have to go through it. She shouldn't have to go through that means to get to something better. But you also were not sex trafficked. And this is what she's saying.
Well, of course, now Eliza denies this. Eliza says this simply isn't true. This is actually the second time that I was sex trafficked. You know, I was making good money at the strip club, but then it was winter time and people were not coming in as much at the strip club because it's Chicago. You know, it's cold. People are not really coming into the strip club. And she was having trouble affording her fee. There was a house fee for $250 at the strip club.
Why wouldn't I?
So she meets a guy who she says is an NBA star, an athlete. And he somehow got her to sex traffic herself again. But once again, she claims that this was her boyfriend. I'm going to read you, because she gave an interview about this, exactly what she says about this. So the journalist asks her, when do you meet the man you say trafficked you? Outside the strip club. And you won't name this guy either? It's not going to happen right now. I have to ask why. I can't, she said. You know I need to ask why. Like, are they still a threat to you, or is this for legal reasons again? If you told me the guy's name, I could look him up and uncover what's there, if anything. She made it clear once again that she wasn't going to name names. Are you afraid of retribution? I feel feelings of fear. She made it sound as though this person, whoever it was, knew this address, knew where to find her.
That's like saying I feel feelings of feelings. It doesn't mean anything. If you're afraid that the guy is going to show up, just say, I'm not going to name his name. I'm afraid he's going to show up. And then there's not enough information for anybody to go by. But it's like, I have feelings of fear. It's like me saying, well, I have feelings of feelings, and they're producing a lot of feelings. It's fucking gobbledygook. It doesn't mean anything.
Parents, and has made certain threats. Yeah, I'm going to pause there.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm JT, and I fucking like cock in my ass. I don't give a fuck, asshole.
Seems to be her routine thing, that when there's something that you could actually verify in her story, she basically says, I can't tell you anything at all. Like, I've only been sex trafficked 2 times, but I can't tell you any details. I didn't go to the police. There's no one that can verify anything. And I'm not going to tell you about these rings because I'm so afraid for my life. This is very bizarre to me. You've now, quote unquote, made it. Your friends are friendly with Elon Musk. People are coming to you as if you are an expert on sex trafficking. And you're not going to try to help save some more victims? You're saying that this person has a platform, that this person is a famous person, and you're not going to try to help potential other victims? This is how she describes the man. She says that he was, quote, good looking, charismatic, wealthy. I thought we were dating. But now, in retrospect, it was not dating. It escalated quickly. No trafficker is going to say to you, like, I'm going to traffic you now. That's not a thing that happens. I mean, it can happen, I suppose, in some cases when you're talking about trafficking. You can't really make broad, sweeping strokes like that, but that's not how my story went down. If you listen to the story of so many survivors, that's not how their stories go down either. I thought that we were developing a relationship, but he was grooming me to traffic me. You said this person was high status. He was an athlete, not a household name. And by the way, this is not rare. Athletes have been arrested for trafficking. Former athletes have been arrested for trafficking. I'm not trying to dog out athletes, but like, this is not rare, she said. So you get it. She's saying that essentially there's some famous athlete and that he trafficked her, but she can't give the name because...
But it's also saying, like, there are other people that do things. They're not household names, but they do things, and that's a thing too. Like, all right. I heard some people rob people and steal their catalytic converters from their cars. Maybe it happens all over the place. What the fuck does that have to do with the tea in China? What the fuck does that have to do with you? Well, I was trafficked by an NBA player. He wasn't a household name, but also he tried to do this, but also no one gave a fuck. Who was it? The fucking ball washer? The towel washer? He was in the NBA? Was he a ref? Was he in concessions? Who gives a fuck?
She's afraid for her life. And it's interesting that this athlete trafficked her during a time, because just so you know, during the time when she's being trafficked, she also goes on to do a ton of rap music videos. In fact, one of them I'd like to show you, she was on World Star Hip Hop, where she is shaking her ass like a hoe. It's only that you can possibly say. She's not naked. We should be allowed to show you this video. But, and this is in her 30s. Again, she's in her 30s. This is a full adult woman shaking her ass like a hoe. But we can't show it to you because if we show it to you, it's going to get flagged on YouTube because I guess she's got some legal team pretending that she's a human sex trafficking video and that it wasn't done consensually. What we can show you, however, are all of the various rap music videos that she was doing at this time when she was being sex trafficked, allegedly. Take a look.
So here's one with a couple shit rap artists that don't matter and probably don't even do anything right now. Then one, I had this on my page. This goofy bastard, I didn't have this one.
They left with me, yep, every hoe they brought.
I don't know if I have this
got them for that bag, she do what she taught. That is a weapon when it come to thoughts.
Not the only thing she was doing during that time, by the way, guys. She also had an...
And again, if you want to branch off on another tirade about this conversation, you can talk about, well, what pushed her to do this? Dad wasn't around enough? She needed the money? So she had to be in these videos. It's awful. She shouldn't have to do that. No one should. Okay, there's a separate conversation to have about whether any human being or any woman should have to be in any video showing themselves off ever. This isn't the conversation we're having. It's, did you willingly sign up for the video? Yes. Were you of legal age? Yes. You willingly participated in the video and was paid for the video? Yes. You, other than talking to your therapist or fucking starting a Me Too movement, you don't have anything to fucking, you don't have a leg to stand on this.
Appearance on the Steve Harvey show in 2012, where Tyra Banks judged her for her performance of her shaking her butt. Here's a clip of her, by the way, on the Steve Harvey show.
Tyra Banks. What was it when it was Family Guy or The Simpsons, where they did a Tyra Banks thing? And I think it was Family Guy. They're on the runway, and she comes out. She's like, "You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through." And she fucking flips out and turns into a gigantic snake or something, and then attacks some people on stage and slithers out of the way. Anytime anyone ever mentions Tyra Banks at this point, that's the only scene I could think of. I'm going to try and find it.
Shaking her booty.
Hi.
Here we go.
Well, both of them will get you a car. That's for sure.
I love it.
Steve Harvey. There's Eliza.
1, 2, 3, Gucci Tooch. Oh, look, girl, you got
Eliza.
it in the middle. You're working it. You are working the Gucci
Booty was
Tooch.
ready.
Yeah.
She's been shaking her butt a lot. She obviously...
I mean, do sex trafficking victims show up on Blind Date, on America's Got Talent, on Tyra Banks' show, or Steve Harvey's show, on video cataloging their life on MySpace, Instagram, and everything? Is that an experience that anyone ever has gone through? And I said this in my previous video. The one that's been deleted by YouTube by Eliza and her fucking shit team. I said, there's one or two things in my mind that's happening that she's doing what she's doing. And it was in the World Star Hip Hop video where the video was really kind of focused on her. And it was two shit rappers. The song was okay, I guess, the beat anyway. It was two shit rappers, and she was the focus of the video. And she was in a bikini the entire time. And like a fishnet shirt where you could see through to her chest. And that's the video I was talking through when I posted the Eliza Blue story. That's been removed by YouTube. And I said that there's one of two factors in my mind there's a possibility of how that could come to pass as a sex traffic survivor. One, you're a woman who's gone through a horrible event in your life where you've been sold to other people for money and you feel like you have zero value. So as you get older and you attempt to reclaim your value and your sexuality, you will focus on something very sexual to put yourself out there and kind of retake your power, retake your sexuality. So it's possible in that video that one of the circumstances could be, in my opinion, that is a sex trafficking survivor who is attempting to reclaim their sexuality, right? By saying that I am a beautiful person. I am still wanted and valued. I am still sexy and people still want me for me as a person. And I'm trying to show that to you in this video. That was one of them, in my opinion. The second one is, you're trying to get fame. You were never any of those things. And you're shaking your ass to get attention in the video, which is exactly what the video looks like. And Candace just showed you a couple very short clips, or they would have been kicked off TikTok, off of YouTube, excuse me. They showed you a very couple small clips of her in all of these rap videos where she is willingly, as a paid worker in that, not an illegal sex worker, as a paid dancer and participant in a rap music video. She's in it, she's being compensated for her time, she's volunteered to be in it, and she's doing it for exposure, right? Not only to get paid for it, but to get herself out there and get seen by other people. Does anyone feel that a woman who's been sex trafficked would choose that avenue to do it? My opinion is 9 times out of 10, they would not. It would likely be that the woman is living as a hermit. She covers herself from head to toe. She doesn't show herself off. And she doesn't want anyone to ever objectify her or ever see anything that could be deemed attractive in any way, shape, or form from her. And if that woman could find somebody down the road that they could connect with on a mental and physical level, that woman would only share themselves with that man who they had gained the connection with, in a very strong, very trusting connection they wouldn't be able to reach with anyone else. I don't believe they would put on a thong and a see-through fishnet shirt and dance in a rap video. I don't think a sex survivor would do that. I'm not a professional and I'm not a psychiatrist. And again, somebody who's trying to reclaim their sexuality, maybe they will do something like that to attempt to take their power back. But the most are going to be very secluded, very private, very defensive, and protecting what they have. And from everybody they deem untrustworthy, and it will be extremely difficult for a man to become trustworthy for that woman and allow them to open up to that degree for them ever again after what they went through, which is another sign that Eliza Bleu, who's just flaunting all of her shit everywhere in multiple videos, Blind Date, Steve Harvey, fucking America's Got Talent, talking to her mom on video, being on MySpace, being on Instagram, that's not a sex trafficked person. Not in my opinion. So it reeks of bullshit. But let's keep going.
Obviously seems to like stars. She's drawn to stars. It's why she moved to LA. But she wants you to believe that over the course of over 2 decades of her trying to make it, that there were 2 instances where she can now say that she was sex trafficked by her boyfriends, by her more successful boyfriends and people that she met along the way who were trying to help her potentially make it, and now she didn't make it, so it's best to just say that you were sex trafficked. I mean, this is my take. Household debt is soaring, inflation is on the rise, and last year...
So, if you're a groupie who's following the band around, and you've fallen in love with the lead singer, whatever it is, whatever the situation is. And so you're like, I love you. I'd do anything for you. And then you're on tour, and they go to another state, and they go, hey, I told my friend about how amazing you are. And if you would either fool around with him or fool around with the both of us, that would be amazing, and that would make me very happy. And you agree to that? The whole thing is immoral, but you weren't sex trafficked. There's a distinction between the two. If you decided to make your boyfriend happy by having a threesome with somebody else, you were not sex trafficked. You can make the argument that you were demeaned as a woman. You can make the argument that you were manipulated into the situation because of your personal feelings. You were, however, not sex trafficked. You have to be kidnapped and forced into the entire thing 100% against your will to be sex trafficked. You can't be sex trafficked because you were like, I was in love with my boyfriend, and he said, have a threesome. And I was like, yeah, I love you, you're amazing. Sure, whatever makes you happy, and you did it. That just means you're a fucking idiot. If you didn't want to do it, it's not sex trafficked.
Was the worst for stocks since the 2008 financial disaster. In these uncertain times, it's important to make smart investments, and there are always smart investments to make, like in fine art with Masterworks. Historically, art has been proven to be a good investment even during times of peak inflation. An Art Basel annual report estimates global... But there was some pimp behind these women when they're doing these things. Nope, they usually have an agent. They get paid about $200 for these little appearances, and they're constantly trying to get their name out there, hoping that they're going to have their big break, a la Meghan Markle. Look, she did it. She started out as a suitcase girl. She then went on to Suits, a show nobody's heard of, and now she's married to a prince. This is what girls who up and move to LA are all hoping for. To be fair, I hate Harry too. And if you don't have that happen to you, and you suddenly realize that there's a ton of information on the internet that show that you were just a girl that would have done anything to become famous, how sick and disturbing to think that you would then say that you were a victim of human sex trafficking. This is not how these stories look. The idea that a pimp is going to send you on a rap video shoot, what are you making, $200 for the whole day? Maybe if it's a big rap star, $1,000. And if you're the main girl in the video throughout the entire video, $1,500, right? The idea that a pimp is going to send you for those low bits of money.
Oh, shit. See what I'm saying? The YouTube commercials are out of control. Want to play 777 prize draws? You want to get fucked in your ass for a shit game? No, I don't.
And be totally like, yeah, this is what I want you to do. I want to pimp you on rap music videos. Doesn't pass the sniff test with me. In fact, there's even a clip of her, because she went through a ghetto phase. She actually changes her entire voice. First, she's like, emo girl, black hair, bright blonde hair, changing her hair colors all the time and speaking normal. Then she starts speaking like Cardi B for a period of her life. She just totally switches how she speaks, and she's super ghetto, and this is her world star hip-hop phase. There's even a clip of her saying that guys were sliding in her DMs and asking to pay her big money.
This is important, because there's two separate personalities that you get from Eliza when she has an interview. One, you've seen earlier in this video, where she's very prim and proper. She's wearing a blouse, something very appropriate. She's talking about, well, the gentleman, when I was there, I was sent to one gentleman, and he paid $500 to spend the time with me. And then there was another gentleman who, right? And then there's the ghetto Eliza, where she's doing the slang, and that I'm just from the streets, you know what I'm saying? So I was in the video, and I'm showing my shit, and I'm just kind of doing my thing, and I'm chilling with everyone, you know what I'm saying? And there's two different personalities that you get from Eliza when she's being interviewed, right? If she has grown to become one type of woman who has gone through a horrible thing, you're going to get one attitude and one personality from her. And it's going to be the new one that is taking prevalence. It is taking over. as her primary attitude and focus point. But she has a split attitude where you get the proper one depending on your interviewer, and you get the other one depending on if you're focusing on the urban rap interview, and she caters it to whichever one requires it. That's a scam artist who does that. When somebody changes how they are based on the interview, the circumstances, or the venue, they are doing that for your benefit. Whoever is there, this group over here, the white people, you're going, oh, well, there was one particular gentleman, and it was very unfortunate. And then you go over here, and you go to the city, and you've got the urban thing, and you're like, you know, I was trying to make money, and I was trying to, like, you know, there was some hookups, and I was doing my thing, you know what I'm saying? And then I there was a hookup, there was some money involved, and I kind of did it, but I didn't want to. But, you know, you see what I'm saying? It's just part of the whole thing. Like, you know I'm fucking bullshitting when I gave you one and I gave you the other. Either I'm me all the time, whether you like it or not, or I'm the split thing, and you know I'm catering to one or the other, and I'm bullshitting you. It's just what bullshit you're getting.
I need to sleep with her, but she turned it down. Here's her in her own words.
Here's Ghetto.
What's been your strangest booking request so far?
Oh my God. $150,000 to have sex.
$150,000 to have sex.
It's a nice offer, but it's not me.
You know what I'm saying?
Turned it down.
It's a nice offer, but it's not me. You know what I'm saying?
Was it hard for you to turn it down? Did you think about that for a little bit?
No, it wasn't even a question, no.
It wasn't even a question,
It's just not my thing,
Because I was
you
looking
know?
for like $250,
She
you know what
turned
I'm
down
saying?
$150,000 because it wasn't her thing. Does that sound like to you a woman who was being coerced to do anything? Coerced? Your pimp is going to allow you to turn down.
That's a good point. So you're someone who's being sex trafficked, and you go, I've got a client here for $150,000, and you're like, no, you're kind of overweight and you're not all that attractive. Crank that up to two and change, and I might be interested. No, sex trafficked women don't get that option. You get whatever the pimp and the person that's stolen you. That's the deal that you get. You don't get to turn down an offer of $150. The pimp will go, yeah, sounds good to me. $150, and you get $2,000 for your trouble. I take the rest. The fuck do you get to say no?
$150,000? I don't even think I've ever heard of that sort of an offer. Where are they making $150,000 to sleep with somebody for one time? That doesn't even make sense.
That could be a bullshit story.
In fact, recently, I sat down for an interview with Brittany de la Mora.
Period.
She is a former porn star who is now Christian and really dedicated to the Christian faith. She had a radical awakening. Porn star for 7 years. Kind of a very similar story here.
Makes sense.
Admits that she was on drugs, admits that she was an escort, and she would talk about nights where she would make $10,000 a night as a porn star that was now hitting the escort circuit. One thing missing from Brittany de la Mora's story is the idea that she was trafficked. She admits that...
Right, and here's the important point. Moral-wise, it's wrong that that woman that Candace was standing with had to make a conscious decision to turn to a life of being an escort and prostitution and etc. in order to make her money and make her living. That's wrong that a woman should have to do that. And we can have a completely separate podcast and a completely separate conversation to go through how they shouldn't have to do this in this society, right? The focus here is, did she willingly become an escort and join that life and do those things? Yes, she did. And that's the part that you can't argue. That's the part where you can't say she was she was sort of sex trafficked because she couldn't make the money that she wanted to. And life was hard, so she was pushed into that. And then she realized the only thing she could sell was her body. So she had to follow that avenue. She couldn't just get a job like you and I and make a whole bunch of money. She had to sell her body. And therefore, by society, she was sex trafficked. No, she fucking wasn't. You could have found another avenue and done something else. You just didn't like the money that you were getting. I make decent money at my job. I don't make $1 million like fucking Elon Musk does. I don't need to sell my asshole to do it. I made a conscious decision about it. I don't have to become a male prostitute. I don't have to sell myself to whoever I want. I've made a decision not to take that route. And in making that decision, I realize I won't make the money, I won't make $10,000 a day doing that. That's the decision on my part. I'm not sex trafficked. Neither is she. That's the point.
She was an escort. She admits that she made these decisions out of desperation, and she made these decisions because she was addicted to drugs. And then she found God. And so, great. It's a wonderful story. It's why I wanted to have her on, because she can talk about the industry. She can talk about the individuals in this industry. But she doesn't try to make herself recast her life as some victim and then try to hit people with copyright infringement things when they dig up her past. No, that's why it doesn't matter that we're not hitting Eliza Bleu because we feel that there's something wrong with a woman who has changed her mind about her lifestyle and wants to be something different. That's an admirable quality. That's just an admirable thing. Any single person that wakes up one day and says, you know what, this is who I was and this is who I want to be today, you should honor that. Transformation is a wonderful thing. I really believe that. What is not transformation is pretending that everything that you did only happened because you were a victim. What is not transformation is getting YouTubers who rely on that money, YouTube creators who rely on that money, who rely on those clicks, who rely on that ad money to have their accounts hit with strikes. That means they could eventually be banned from YouTube because you're ashamed of things that you did consensually. She's now claiming that any person that's sharing anything from her past is digitally raping her. Wow. It sounds like almost a leftist buzzword. You're digitally raping me if you show this remarkable 2-decade career I had selling myself for anything, just wanting to be famous. What do I do? A music video? I'll do it. Blind date? I'll do it. What do you want me on? I'll do it for any money. This is what girls that go to Hollywood do. It's a typical LA Hollywood story of a girl who did not make it is actually how it ends. In fact, on her own YouTube page, because she started one during the period in which she had, been sexually trafficked by a boyfriend, she started one, and she has a video of herself calling her mom excitedly to tell her that she was in a rap video.
I told you about this earlier in the show.
Hello? Hey, Mom, what are you doing?
I just got off work. I thought you tried to call and sent me a text message, but I was trying to call you back.
Well, yeah, I was just calling you because I wanted to get your feedback and see what you thought about me being in music videos.
Being in a music video?
Yeah, about me being in music videos. You know how I...
Her mother is a dean of a college. So she's talking about the World Star Hip Hop video that's been deleted by the YouTube that I put up for everybody. And she calls her mom. She tells her she's in the video. Wants to know her thoughts of her being in the video. She's talking about all this openly and actively. Not once in anything that's been referenced by Candace Owens that I've tried to show in a previous show, or that I've shown you today, does she ever say, you know, it's tough for me to go through this as a victim of sex trafficking, but all of this has been really liberating for me, and I'm really in a different direction of progress and whatnot. Nothing ever, not one word. Just her trying to become popular, get noticed, get out there and get fucking banged, not banged. I don't know what the fuck but she wants some money. She wants some fame.
I started being in music videos and I started a blog about it.
Yeah, there you go. And definitely, you could just see the pimp being like, call your mom. Call your mom and tell her that you're doing videos. It's very weird that pimps would not want to completely
I don't think
isolate
pimps do
the
that.
individual
I'm not familiar with pimps,
away from
but
their friends and
I don't
family.
think
That's
they
a
do
typical
that.
human sexuality.
You'll call your mom, tell them you're in a music video, and tell them I did it.
Isolation.
Hi, Mom.
You don't have a great relationship with your mom, your Christian mom and your Christian father, who you're allowed to see whenever you want over the course of these decades. So what this really is and what this really represents is a woman who failed. She failed at everything. And what women do, and I've seen this happen over and over again in this movement when they fail at everything, is that they just repurpose themselves as victims. By the way, when she rebranded as a person who was going to help inform Twitter policy, she's rebranded herself as somebody on the right who is passionate about free speech. She actually once tweeted this. A journalist asked her about that video, of course, because it's extremely relevant. You're turning down $150,000 and you're a sex trafficking victim. And here's what she had to say about it. She said, quote, "I look at those videos and I see that I'm drunk, possibly high, not myself. I'm not the same person that's sitting here right now. I see those videos as a legit cry for help. Do I know if I was trafficked that day? I don't. I don't know. See? But something was going on behind the scenes. I have also repeatedly admitted that
you're not getting the fame you wanted. Oh, another shit commercial. So she's admitting to it in this article here.
Blown Stockholm syndrome. I was never in chains. I actually went to the police department a few times in multiple places to try to report stuff. I was never welcomed with open arms. But at the same time, I was running cover for my abuser. If someone's in a Christmas picture with your husband, you think then that everything must have been fine at home? It's absurd. They can all say whatever they want. I've been completely transparent about the fact that I had extreme trauma bonds with my former abuser." I'm sorry, what? What does that even mean? So you're basically saying, no, I wasn't sexually trapped. Well, I was, but I was abused. Well, okay, I was turning out $150,000 while I was in this relationship with my abuser. But like also, because I thought we were in a relationship is why I was turning it down. But also I went to the police. I tried to go to the police, whatever that means. The police didn't invite me. They didn't welcome me with open arms. But I was also running cover for my abuser at the police station that I tried to go to, but they didn't welcome me with open arms. Listen, whatever. The point is, I had Stockholm syndrome. And none of this is making any sense. And if I was a respectable journalist, I would have pushed back on everything that she said, because it makes entirely no sense. If he was in fact your abuser, if you were Stockholm syndrome and he was sex trafficking you, why would he not make you get $150,000 that you were being offered? Oh, you don't know. I don't know. I see these videos. I just see a cry for help. I see a cry for help. That's all I can say. I think that there is a special place in hell for women that false accuse. I have hit this drum over and over and over again, and it will continue to be a beat that I do because it...
So, you might be saying, great, Matt. This is interesting, and you're beating the dead, the horse that is the Eliza Bleu controversy. What's your point here? It's not that. It's not just.
Today, there's going to be
that she's a liar and a grifter that's using a horrible circumstance that both girls, boys, men, and women go through to benefit herself. And at this point, I believe she's a liar and a grifter. I was willing to attempt to offer her the benefit of the doubt in the previous shows that I did. I'm not now. I believe she's full of shit. By trying to hide everything that you are, you're full of shit. If my mother died of cancer, I was with her, I helped her, I watched her die, I was with her at the end. She died of cancer. Horribly. I'll talk about it anytime. I'll talk about the experience. As hard as it is, I've gone on cancer walks, I've donated to cancer initiatives. I'll talk about it anytime that I need to. I don't need to be paid to do it. I'll talk about it because she went through a horrible experience and I lost my mother. I don't need to say I'm not willing to identify the gentleman. I'm not willing to identify the circumstance. I'm not willing to get into detail. What the fuck would I say those things for a legitimate circumstance? You wouldn't. If you're sex trafficked, you're going to name the people because you want the whole world to hate them. You want the whole world to be against them. You want them arrested. Realistically, you want worse. But at the minimum, you don't want them to walk free through the town or the city or the state or the country. You don't want them to be free, functioning human beings. You want them responsible for what they've done. You want them to pay for your pain, and not just your pain because you weren't the only one. The pain of others. And if you're not willing to do that, my question is why? If I knew what killed my mother, she worked for a company called United Technologies. Yeah, it was a company in the 80s. I think they're out of business now. They made parts for satellites, if I remember correctly. And it's possible those chemicals gave her cancer. If I had irrefutable proof right now that that was what gave my mother cancer and led to her death, why wouldn't I tell everyone? Why wouldn't I say their name in every interview I ever had? Even if I couldn't sue them or get any money from them, why wouldn't I sandbag them in every opportunity I could until I destroyed them? I wouldn't do that if they offered me a huge settlement to shut up. If I had an incentive not to say anything about them, or somehow I was complicit in the entire situation, and then I wouldn't tell you the truth about what happened. And in this circumstance, Eliza Bleu is not willing to tell you the truth about who the people were that sex trafficked her. Because I believe, in my opinion, the truth of the matter is, you had a girl who wanted fame, who wanted fortune. So she ran away from home. She went to California. She tried to find it. She tried to become a groupie and follow bands around and get herself involved in other circumstances. And it didn't work out the way she wanted. So because of that, she has to go the, well, I was taken advantage of and sex trafficked route. I'm a victim in me wanting to become more and become a popularity and become a mainstream. I'm victimized because I tried and I didn't get it, but I was taken advantage of. No, you just tried to do something and you failed. The same as anybody else in the entire world's history. You tried to do something, it didn't work out the way you want. Woe is you, but that doesn't mean that the entire fucking planet owes you something. So you can't go that route. Here, I'm going to play a little bit of this here.
House vote again for Kevin McCarthy. He's lost.
So he had Eliza. Tim Pool had Eliza Bleu.
We didn't know a game was being played at all. It's only after it happens and you lose that you know, whether the Loverboy method or some other way. Victims know that this game of deception is used in the court of public opinion today. To the people who've made assumptions about the victims before trial, I forgive you. I'm sorry. I won't ask those people to change their opinion for our sake. I would just ask them to consider one thing. What if you're wrong? Is it possible? And if it is, you can wait for the court to do its job before attacking. Those who...
So... Let's see here. This shitbag right here.
We'll definitely talk about that too, and we can talk about the Carrie Lake stuff because that article you wrote, the profile, was actually really, really great. So
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And then Serge is here, of course.
Yo, what's up? Serge.com, pushing buttons as always.
Serge.com.
Let's jump into this first story. And for this first story, we're not throwing it to a website. I'm going to throw it to Eliza. Apparently, you've got something to say.
Yes, I do. So before I say what I'm about to say, I just want to let everyone know that I serve these survivors, speaking here as their survivor advocate. And to anyone that needs more information, I will be giving information at the end of this. So if survivors need to step forward, and as always, anytime I'm on a show, just know that you can reach out to the human trafficking hotline at any time. I can also give that number throughout this stream as well. So let's get it going. Tonight I might use the word allegedly at certain points. This has been advised by legal. Not because I don't believe the survivors that I serve, but it's the legal way to do it. So let's get it going. This is an official press release. These are not my words. This is a survivor. As a survivor of the Tate brothers, I understand how difficult it can be to come forward and speak out about what happened to you.
And she's talking about Brian Tate, Andrew Tate, the ones that were arrested in Romania. And he's being accused of trafficking women, and then there's more information coming out that that he didn't actually do that. But here's the point: this shitbag right here, Shane something. He's an author allegedly. I forget what this fucking loser's name is, but so Tim, not Tim specifically, sent him because he works for Tim. Among doing other things, and he's also an author that writes other books. In this episode, Eliza said she really respects him, likes him, loves his work and his books, and yada yada. Put your cock in my mouth, almost fucking sentiment. So this fucking shitbag is supposed to go to, and has already at this point of this recording, has gone to her farm and her father's farm. And done a personal one-on-one interview and kind of biography about her, like written down specifics of what everything she's been through. So the one who she's been drooling over, and who he's drooling over her, has gone, Shane something. Why the fuck can't I think of his last name? But he's from Timcast. So he does this article, and basically, other than, in my opinion, getting his fucking dick sucked, when he goes to the fucking farm and interviews her, doesn't accomplish anything, and doesn't get the full facts from her about the details of some of the things that she's like so with, and just writes a bullshit fucking puff piece about what she's gone through. Let me see, what the fuck? Why don't they have his name here? Luke? Luke was still there at that time. Ian is the hippie who is in that other video that I told you about from the podcaster, where Eliza is being really touchy-feely with Ian, throwing her leg on him, wrapping her leg around him, and cuddling with him. So she's really to do about Ian. Tim is not there in the video as best as I can see. Luke has absolutely nothing to do with it. He's gone at this point. He's in well, not at this point, but now he is in Florida doing his own thing. Serge is the hippie fucking kid doing sound and whatever else. He's a nobody that no one knows about. And they're not showing the other guy's name, the fucking author, and I'm trying to get his name. Let me see. No, what the fuck? Fucking give a fuck about whatever the fuck that was. Okay. Her interviews including Ben Shapiro. So she's, maybe she was interviewed by Ben Shapiro. I'm not sure. All right, let me try something more specific here, because of course, it's fucking me over. And So Cashman is the one that does it. So the Cashman interview with Eliza Bleu. What's his full name? Not that it fucking matters. See, these are other fans of Timcast talking here. Eliza's a con artist. This is a long-winded puff piece, says another. Come on, Tim. You said in a segment that sometimes a mob can bring accountability when nothing else is done, like calling out an unpunished bank robber for robbing banks. Eliza has told one of the most fanciful lies and stories I've ever heard. Gonzo journalism. So Shane, there we go, didn't resolve anything. Shane's atomic hubris is a chore to get through. Eliza is just gaslighting as a deflection for the most part, but the fact she was underage when she went into that scene does make her a de facto victim. So it's Shane Cashman, and he works, if not exclusively for Timcast, he works associatively with them and doing different stories. So he volunteers, of course, I'd fucking volunteer too, to do this interview with Eliza Bleu. And goes to her home. She's staying at her father's ranch, the former Republican of, it was Illinois, I think. It's going to be in the story here that I found. And he does this puff piece where he just bullshits his way through this interview, not really asking her the hard questions, or at the minimum, not pushing to get the answers that everyone deserves about this bitch. And basically the whole piece is fucking bullshit, right? So this is kind of falling back on Tim. Tim has said that he advised Shane not to do the story. He didn't recommend it, but he also didn't want to tell him how to live his life, so do whatever you want. So if there was like an attractive woman who was like, oh, I love you, oh my God, you're awesome, come do a story on me. And then I was like, listen, I know you don't want me to do this story, but I'm going to go get my dick sucked, so can I do this story? And you were like, yeah, whatever. Do whatever the fuck you want. I'd be like, cool, going to get some, see you in a couple of weeks. And I go do the fucking story. And it just seems like that this is what Shane Cashman did. It's a bullshit puff piece where, I don't know for a fact, but in my opinion, he probably got fucking laid while he was doing it because she was like kissing his ass when she was on the show. And it's a bullshit piece where Shane doesn't actually accomplish anything and get any actual information out there. And a lot of people have had blowback on Tim for this. Now, I know that this show is running long. I'm probably 2 hours or 2 and change into this. But it's important for me to do this because I did an 1.5-hour video to try and address this. And then I was just going to leave it alone. And this fucking bitch wanted to push on her bullshit and hiding her information or situation, and everything that I worked for and the information I put forward is gone. Deleted by YouTube in 1 second, and I didn't even have the courtesy of an email. So, whereas, Star Wars Girl and others at least got an email, not that it makes it any better, but at least they got an email about what happened and why they deleted their bullshit. Again, not that it's proper or fair, but they got something and I didn't get jack shit. So now I'm going to go through as much of it as I can so I understand this is running late. But it's about this fucking chick who is a liar, a grifter, and she's trying to con everyone. And worse than that, worse than the con and the grift, she's roped Elon Musk and his new trust and safety and other people into protecting her, running point for her, and deleting people's shit. This is not an excuse for Elon Musk. Fuck Elon Musk. He's an elitist who doesn't give a fuck about anyone that is not close to his level. He does not care about you and I. He does not care about the regular taxpayer. He may claim that he's an advocate for free speech, and that's what he wants on his site. He's full of fucking shit. Twitter has barely changed from the left-wing run shithole to the fake grift Elon's doing right now, and the fucking crew he brought into. So he's a fake and a liar, and so isn't everybody else in the new Twitter. And so isn't this bitch who's sucking dick to find options, whatever the fuck she's doing, to delete everyone's shit. You can fucking grift as much as you want and be a fucking liar as long as everyone realizes it. As long as you don't take away everyone's ability to point out the fact you're a fucking liar and a grifter. But she's done that. There's the ultimate problem out of everything. Not only is she a liar, not only is she pretending something she's not, but she's taking away the rights of free speech and people being able to talk about it. When she says she's pro-free speech, and then she's like a conservative, allegedly. So let's get into a little bit of this from the Daily Beast, I believe. With striking lilac hair and a pugnacious attitude, the anti-sex trafficking advocate known as Eliza Bleu has broken into some of the top tiers of right-wing media in just a few years, growing her audience through interviews with popular figures like Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, and Dr. Drew Pinsky. But in late 2022, Bleu found an even more powerful ally, new Twitter owner Elon Musk. Bleu, who refers to herself as a survivor of human trafficking, has lent the billionaire an unusual form of credibility by insisting that pre-Musk Twitter was overrun with child pornography. That's true. Only Musk, Bleu says, has been willing to stamp out the abusive material on Twitter at a scale. In another tweet, she declared, "The war against Elon Musk is actually a war over your mind." Musk responded with a bullseye emoji. Bleu's praise for Musk comes even as the billionaire has slashed much of Twitter's staff, including huge numbers of workers responsible for content moderation. Who gives a fuck? All those leftist pukes deserve to be fired. So, you have a direct line to me on this issue, Musk told Bleu in a Twitter Space live chat in December. But now Bleu and Musk find themselves embroiled in a Twitter censorship controversy after multiple critics of Bleu who shared embarrassing images from her past saw their accounts temporarily suspended from the site. Some users suggested that Bleu's direct line to Twitter brass and Musk himself may have led to the crackdown, even as the Twitter owner insists he's in favor of free speech and wide-ranging debate. Bleu and Twitter didn't respond to requests for comment. Amid the controversy over the suspended accounts, questions about Bleu's background have emerged. Her critics have seized on contradictory videos and interviews, and her frequent use of different names online to suggest Bleu isn't who she claims to be. Now, two former friends of Bleu tell the Daily Beast that at best, Bleu is exaggerating her experiences for attention. "It's making a lot of her old friends around here really angry," said Carly Wenzel, a one-time pal of Bleu who was known for her for 2 decades, who added she believes Bleu is completely lying. So one of the things that you, myself, and anyone else has learned over time is you can hear what friends have to say about someone, but it's a lot more interesting to hear what your enemies have to say about you. Because yes, they're going to bullshit some stuff, but also they're not going to hold anything back on other things where the friend is going to protect you. So here we go to get some other sides of all this. Bleu grew up in a rural area along Illinois' border with Iowa, known as the Quad Cities. She's portrayed her homeschooling upbringing as an innocent one, albeit one that made her all the more naive about how the world really works. "I don't know how all this works. Is that a cock?" Despite her claims to the contrary, public records prove that Bleu's original name was Eliza Morthland, born in 1981. Her father is Richard Morthland, a farmer and former Illinois state representative Republican who ran unsuccessfully on the GOP ticket for lieutenant governor in 2018. Morthland did not respond to a request for comment. In 2021, Bleu appeared to deny on Twitter that she was Eliza Morthland, but Facebook photos show her standing with other members of the Morthland family. A 2010 newspaper article about Richard Morthland shows a woman who looks just like Bleu, who it is, next to the politician identified as his daughter, Eliza Morthland. Richard Morthland also gave a comment for a 2009 article about a band Bleu worked for under her married name Eliza Seep, and Bleu's cosmetology license lists Richard Morthland's farm as her address. There's no question that Blue has advocated for trafficking victims, especially on Twitter, but she has offered murky accounts on her own background that leave even her supporters unsure about all the vaguest details. She can also grow hostile with reporters who ask for basic facts. That shouldn't be an issue. Who trafficked you? Simple answer. You're protecting them? Why? Are you still in love with them? Go date them then. But you weren't trafficked. Why are you hiding it? For example, journalist Katie Herzog reached Blue on the phone in December, only to have Blue become defensive when Herzog raised even the prospect of asking Blue about her own story. I believe I saw that video with the journalist. And she has a regular interview. She's asking her questions. And then she branches off a little bit, with the journalist claiming that she spoke to Eliza Blue's representative and said, I'm going to ask some other off-the-cuff questions about what she went through. Eliza Blue becomes extremely frustrated, argues with the person, says, well, did my rep tell you that you could ask these questions? And the reporter, Katie, says, well, yes, I did let her know that I was going to ask that, and she allowed the interview to happen anyway. And then Eliza says, well, I'm going to have to speak to her about that because that's not appropriate. And then she ends up kind of ending the interview without answering any of the legitimate questions of the reporter. Again, dodging everything that she went through rather than being specific. And to the best of my knowledge, she has never named the people who trafficked her. She has never gone through the specifics of what she went through and what the people did to her. Just the baseline story. Interviewed on Tim Pool's podcast, Blue said she could not offer details about her alleged abusers because of unspecified legal issues. What would those be? Because they knew what you were doing while you were doing things with them? Is that why? Then she asked why it would be a problem if she was making up her story. The fuck kind of question? There's a lot of fucking problems. You're a goddamn liar who's saying you're sex trafficked and you're not. I can't say I have cancer when I don't. You can't fucking say you were sex trafficked when you're not. So of course it's a problem. They say hypothetically it is made up, Blue said, but what's my biggest win so far in public? Getting Twitter to address child sexual abuse material and make it a top priority. So she's trying to claim through all her lies that she's somehow come through with a net positive, but that's not the way life works. I'm not asking an abuser for money, and I'm not asking people for money, she added. Yes, she is. I have a fundraiser right here from GoFundMe where she's asking people for money. Here it is, and we're going to get to it after the story, where she's asking to travel and her expenses and hotel paid for. The Daily Beast pieced together a rough online outline of Blue's account of her trafficking experiences based on interviews she's given to sympathetic media outlets. Blue has said that her trafficking spanned 2 different periods, separated by roughly a decade. In her telling, Blue was first groomed by a prominent photographer she met at a Warped Tour concert in Chicago when she was 16. I've seen these videos. It's the guy that's recording her. If this is accurate, and that's who she's referring to. She's willingly participating in the videos. She's hanging out with My Chemical Romance and meeting other people, while this guy videotapes her interactions with all of it. It seems consensual to me. I understand the age limit might be under whatever California or whatever offers, but she's consensually participating in all of this. The guy is filming her, asking questions. She's interacting with these other people. She may be young and foolish, but she's participating with all of it. In her telling, Warped Tour 16, a few years later, she was still a teenager in the late 90s. Blue's father drove her to Los Angeles because Blue was convinced that an unnamed, high-profile musician she met through that photographer would make her a star. Instead, she was sexually assaulted within 48 hours of arriving in the city, allegedly. According to a 2020 podcast interview, her traffickers quickly hooked her on a drug she knew as ice. She said that in an interview, as Candace Owens said. Generally recognized as slang for crystal, methamphetamine, though Blue said she didn't know what drug it was. Well, you fucking learned about it, didn't you? Blue claims she was then sold for $500 to a sex trafficking ring in the Hollywood Hills, where she found herself living with members of a ring that trafficked a transgender woman. You heard that in the story too, but other people are saying she was willingly part of this and she was getting paid $500 for her trouble. I was sold for $500 to a very old gentleman. Gentleman! In the hills. It was a gentleman in the hills. He was very nice. He put his cock in my mouth, but other than that, wonderful. We had tea afterwards. It continues. Blue said in the 2020 interview. Blue claims she struggled to get enough water and food. The $500 didn't help because I was on drugs and other substances, so the money went to drugs instead of food and water. But Blue was such a handful for her other traffickers. I imagine that's why they're paying good money. In her telling that they ultimately gave her back to her original trafficker for free. Does any of that sound right? I'm going to read that again. But Blue was such a handful for her traffickers in her telling that they ultimately gave her back to her original tracker for free. Listen, I got this girl from you. She's got big tits. Little mouthy. She's fucking... I got a headache. She's driving me nuts. I'm having a hard time controlling her. I'm a trafficker, but I'm not very good at my job. So, I'm having a real hard time with Eliza here. What I'm going to do is, I don't even want my money back. I'm just going to return her, free of charge. And I'm going to say, you handle her. She's like the Punky Brewster of trafficked people. Quite the handful. I'm getting a headache from it. Anyone have this story? For real? It's bullshit. So, Blue claims she was hospitalized for a drug overdose, that I believe, before returning to her family farm in Illinois. My family didn't even recognize me when I got off the plane, Blue said. After 2 weeks on the farm, she returned to Los Angeles to retrieve her car. Blue claims she was once again swept up into human trafficking for an undefined period. So, you went through a horrific circumstance. You were hanging out with gentlemen, the best kind of gentleman, the only kind you would use the word gentleman for. Went back home, where you're safe and sound, you're in your bed, no one's fucking with you, no one's putting things in places they shouldn't go, and you're calm and you're happy, and the wind is blowing, and you can walk around the property and you're safe and free. And then you thought afterwards, boy, I'd like to go back to Los Angeles where I was sex trafficked. She was once again swept up into human trafficking. As soon as I got off the plane, someone fucking grabbed me and I was given to another gentleman. Comparing it to Stockholm Syndrome. Blue's second trafficking period in her account began in roughly 2008 to 2009 when she was living in the Chicago area. So she's left California, gone back to Chicago, and oh my God, sex traffickers! They're fucking everywhere! They surround me and tackle me. In that same 2020 podcast interview, Blue claimed she was sex trafficked by a high-profile athlete that wasn't really high-profile, whom she has declined to name because that gentleman deserves privacy. That man and his associates, according to Blue, put her in a dangerous neighborhood. The entire fucking city of Chicago is dangerous. Be specific. Neighborhood she has said existed on what she called a gang line. They all fucking on a gang line. The entire city of Chicago is a gang line. The violent border where two Chicago gang territories meet. That's like all of Chicago. Be specific. My mattress is on the floor because we had so many shootings that year in the area, Blue recalled 2020. So they were protecting you from shootings? That's awful nice, sex traffickers. I just didn't want to get shot. Blue attempted to leave her traffickers in 2013, and in her account, ultimately, succeeded for good in about 2014. Blue has repeatedly suggested that her former traffickers from Chicago might be still out to get revenge on her and her family members. Well, you're fucking talking about it. They're not happy about that. Just name them and get it over with. When I stepped away from the gang, because you haven't told anybody who they are, but they know who they are. When I stepped away from the gang, my traffickers lost money, Blue said in the 2020 interview, and they want that money back. They still want it even now. They want to go out. They want to go to Buster's, and they want to play games, and they want to go to the movies, and they can't because I'm not there anymore. Asked in a 2021 interview why she hadn't pressed charges against the unnamed athlete and her other traffickers, Blue, appearing on a podcast with more than 100,000 YouTube subscribers, said the men could still track her down and murder her. But they fucking know who you are. You're talking about it. So, in the off chance that you could name them, they might have fucking killed you by now. What are they waiting for? Christmas? I'm terrified that they would kill them myself. That they would kill myself or my family or people that I care about, Blue said. That's how organized they are. They're so organized, they're letting you talk on podcasts and run your mouth about what happened. Last month, Blue tweeted that her family knows every detail. Why aren't they saying anything? Which her family ended up suing her, by the way, in a completely off story there. For shit. Of her story and stands behind her. I don't think so. She then blasted the corporate media for asking questions about her past, declaring, "If anyone steps on my family's property or my property, let it be extremely clear we're all armed." It's fucking out of her mind. Wenzel, a one-time friend of Blue, who says she has known the anti-trafficking advocates for more than 2 decades, doesn't think Blue's account is accurate. You don't think or you don't know. Wenzel told the Daily Beast that she met Blue in the Quad Cities. That's 4. Where both women were partying with musicians. Wenzel was 18 and said Blue was in her early 20s. Whoopsie! The Daily Beast verified Wenzel's friendship with Blue through photographs, so they've confirmed that this woman is real and that she knew Blue. In Wenzel's telling, she and Blue were both deeply involved in the scene subculture of the early aughts. I believe that's called groupies, right? A time of tight jeans, swooping haircuts, and high drama on sites like MySpace and LiveJournal. Wenzel was trying to hook up with a member of one of her favorite bands on a tour bus in Iowa City when Blue stepped on board. The 2 young women realized they had mutual friends and a shared interest in music. Well, you are both groupies in the same fucking band, so that makes sense. And the men who made it. She said that she was going to be very famous for sleeping with band members, Wenzel recalled. Well, she certainly tried, didn't she? Wenzel takes issue with Blue's timeline of her first trafficking experience. She claims that she too was at the Warped Tour concert where Blue met the photographer she claims groomed her. But while Blue said that she wasn't even 18 when she met the photographer, Wendell insists that Blue would have been in her early 20s, making her legal, putting the debate of the concert sometime in the early 2000s. She's a very powerful, very smart, intelligent woman, quote from Carly Wenzel says. Her timeline is just so weird, Wenzel said, noting she believes that Blue appears to be lying about her age in certain articles. Blue moved to Los Angeles, but Wenzel doesn't remember hearing about her old friend being trafficked. Instead, she said Blue unsuccessfully tried to convince Wenzel to move in with her in California. She did not recall Blue calling home to the Quad Cities with tales of being addicted to ice or living with a trafficked group of transgender women in the Hollywood Hills. That would be awful, to live with transgender women. I can't think of a worse fate. Wenzel said she keeps seeing these stories out of L.A. and believes it absolutely didn't happen. By 2005, Blue was back in Illinois and eventually earned a cosmetology license. Blue began touring as a traveling stylist for musicians, where she received her first taste of internet controversy. And then she started calling herself Eliza Cuts at that point that she was doing hair. Blue worked for mega popular rock band My Chemical Romance as a stylist, going by the hair-inspired name Eliza Cuts online. Blue's job brought her into a group of My Chemical Romance entourage members dubbed the world's most hated crew. One of them was a fucking weirdo tranny. That clique also included future YouTube star and makeup mogul Jeffree Star, who's a weird freako man wearing women's clothes and a dress and makeup who just recently was fooling around with an NFL star, like at or after the Super Bowl. And I can just say, if you're any guy who ended up hanging out with Jeffree Star, you're a fucking queer. But if everyone know that, okay, fair enough, I guess. Blue worked for mega popular rock band My Chemical Romance as a stylist, going by the hair-inspired name Eliza. Oh, for God's sake. Jeffree Star, who would later be accused of paying out hush money to sexual assault accusers. Yeah, how much you want to bet those were little boys? Blue was closely monitored by the band's fans on site like LiveJournal, particularly after she entered a brief engagement with My Chemical Romance's heartthrob lead singer Gerard Way. But Blue stirred up some controversy of her own with diehard supporters of the band in online mini-scandals that featured Blue calling Star the N-word and allegedly authoring a thinly veiled fictional account of her failed relationship with Way. After leaving the rock circuit, Blue lived with a friend in Chicago from roughly 2009 to 2011, that around the period when Blue claimed she began to be sex trafficked again by the unnamed athlete in a violence-plagued neighborhood. So you went back to the athlete in the hopes that, to be like, everything's gone to shit. Can I chill with you? Yeah, go back to sex trafficking me. I need the money. The fuck would you do that for? But that's not how her former roommate, who asked the Daily Beast not to use her name out of fear of backlash from Blue's fans, remembers it. Instead, she said that the pair lived in Wicker Farm Park, in an affluent, trendy Chicago neighborhood. The roommate said Blue's parents were always supportive financially. She was not in a precarious situation, the roommate told the Daily Beast in a text message. The roommate does remember Blue sleeping on the floor, though not because of bullets. She slept on the floor by choice, because she was into those floor pillows at the time, the friend told the Daily Beast, though she added that Blue eventually bought a bed. Like the ex-roommate, Wenzel scoffs at the idea that Blue lived in a dangerous neighborhood. Wenzel, who by then was married with a child, said she brought her toddler to visit Blue and the roommate to their apartment. That doesn't sound like a smart idea. Hardly the front line of a gang war. That is not true, Wenzel said. She lived in a really cute apartment. They're the whitest girls you could ever meet. There was no gang activity. Around this time, Blue resurfaced online as Eliza Seep in 2010, unsuccessfully auditioning for American Idol using a surname she had picked up during a short-lived marriage. Oh, that poor bastard, huh? But she soon moved on to a new name and another position in the music industry. She would become Eliza Knows, the sultry, self-proclaimed music video vixen. Under her new online name, Blue began to dance as a video vixen in mostly low-budget videos. A YouTube playlist appears to have been compiled by Blue herself, shows her gyrating in videos from 12 to 13, with song titles like Feeling Myself and A Million Ways to Love You. I'll click this for the shit of it and see if any of them load up. I don't give a fuck. Actually, yeah, I kind of do. Okay.
How am I supposed to handle
this? For God's sake! How am I supposed to handle this? I'm in a shit commercial, and I don't know what to do.
Face it. Hey, come on. We ready, Steve?
Here's one of them. I'm surprised this is playing. Here we go. There's old Eliza. What's up, girl? How you is?
And I be feeling myself.
Yes, son, I'm drinking a 40. There's Eliza. Chilling with this shit artist. I got one cock in my hand each. I'm a wannabe rapper from Philly. I'm a fucking loser. There's Eliza in the pink outfit showing off. So, before I get myself fucking kicked off of this shit video, let's see. Is that all they're showing? Alright. So let's go back to the Daily Beast. Alright, where were we? It appears to be compiled by Blue herself, shows her gyrating in videos. In one 2012 video, Blue posted to YouTube. She filmed herself calling her mother to shock her with the news that she'd become a music video dancer, only to discover that her mother was happy for her. In the video, Blue told her mother she wanted to become a music video dancer because of her childhood admiration for the Fly Girls. dancers on the comedy show In Living Color. I'll give her that. The dancers in A Living Color and the music were pretty good. Bleu also gave interviews about the video vixen lifestyle in 2016. Bleu, speaking in a markedly different voice than the one she used in earlier media appearances, and that's why I told you where she changes it. And the one she uses today claimed that she rejected an offer to have sex with a client for $150,000. It's a nice offer, but it's not me, Bleu said. Still, it appears that Bleu may have engaged in some kind of sex work around this time. In one interview, Bleu advertised her account on a now defunct camgirl website where men could pay money to talk with her. And I've seen some of those videos as proof where she's on the camgirl site. She's talking to other guys, and they're saying something to her, and one of them is insulting her. I haven't seen anywhere she's naked or she's exposing herself somehow. I've just seen her having a conversation with other people. But if you're on a camgirl site, you're not doing it for idle chat. You're doing it because the people that are paying want more from you. She was absolutely... Okay, so around 2016, Wendell claims that Bleu asked her to join her as an escort, promising that Wendell could make $500 in a night, an offer that stunned Wenzel and her husband. She was absolutely loving it, Wenzel said. She was bragging about it, saying she was making so much money. Bleu later suggested that sex workers with a pimp might qualify as trafficking victims, though Wenzel said she didn't meet any pimp or trafficker when she socialized with Bleu, be it an unnamed high-profile athlete or otherwise, so it's possible she's trying to claim that the athlete was her pimp. She's a very powerful, very smart, intelligent woman. I will not discredit her for that, Wenzel said. She knows exactly what she's doing. Here's some pictures here of her being with the photographer, videoing her with My Chemical Romance. Here's the young lead singer of My Chemical Romance, and there's Eliza with her with him when they were dating. As proof that she was trafficked, Bleu often cites the organization she says saved my life, Eve's Angels, a Christian nonprofit that serves sex trafficking victims and women seeking to leave the commercial sex industry. In her telling, Bleu, living in her gangland apartment in 2013, allegedly, and desperate to leave her traffickers, contacted Eve Angels after discovering founder Annie Donowald through a YouTube video. In another tweet, Bleu claimed to have found the group via a web address and a Bible the group left at a strip club. Found a Bible at a strip club? Why were you at the strip club? The group soon spirited Bleu away from her traffickers and into a safe house. You were safe when you went with your parents. Back to fucking Ireland, Chicago. Why'd you leave? Why'd you need the church to save you? In her account, Bleu claims she briefly returned to her traffickers after that escape. That's not smart, is it? But eventually escaped the traffickers' clutches for good around 2014. So you went back to them to escape again because you didn't care for it? You cared for it when you went back? You don't care for it now? Donwald defended Bleu from skeptics earlier this month, tweeting that Bleu is the real deal. But like Bleu, Donwald's claims about sex trafficking in her own life have come under scrutiny. In 2018, Donwald's parents and brother filed a defamation lawsuit against Donwald and Eve's Angels. While Donwald and her children were living with their family members in Michigan, Donwald's parents confronted her about her treatment of her daughter. According to the lawsuit, in response, Donwald and her group accused her parents of sexually abusing and trafficking children, according to a 2022 appeals court opinion. Donwald took the case to police, leading to a criminal investigation into her parents, but no charges. Donwald's claims fell apart after her daughter told her grandparents that Donwald had told her to fabricate the claims in an attempt to score a payoff from the grandparents, the appeals court opinion found. The activist was ordered to pay a judgment of more than $47,000 plus legal fees as the May 2022 appeals court ruling. The family was still stalled in settlement talks, with Donwald denying the defamation claims. Donwald did not respond to requests to comment, Eve's Angels did not return an email, and the two phone numbers attached to the charity were either not in service, went directly to a fully voicemail inbox. That all sounds like scams and bullshit, huh? Bleu emerged as a public survivor advocate a few weeks into the pandemic, worrying in an April 2020 article in the conservative The Daily Wire that pandemic lockdowns would worsen sex trafficking. Within 2 years, she would amass a large profile through Twitter and right-wing podcasts, culminating in her alliance with Musk. In December, Blue aided Musk in his campaign against Twitter's former head of trust and safety, Yoel Roth, who seemingly angered the billionaire after resigning in November, linking to a 2010 tweet by Roth that read, "Can high school students ever meaningfully consent to sex with their teachers?" Yoel Roth is a gay piece of shit who is nothing but a left-wing fucking scumbag. So him quitting allegedly did not anger anyone. He was fired. He's a piece of garbage. This explains a lot, Musk replied, and many of his followers took the bait, suggesting that Roth was a depraved sex criminal. He is. And amid other attacks, Roth reportedly was forced to flee his home. In truth, the 2010 tweet merely linked to his Salon article that did not advocate allowing teachers to have sex with minors. Instead, it examined a criminal case against a teacher who had an illegal relationship with an 18-year-old student. The Daily Beast is trying to protect Yoel Roth here. Yoel Roth is a piece of shit. But now, cracks are starting to appear in Blue's online reputation, especially within the right-wing circles she once courted. The controversy ignited on January 6 when she appeared on Tim Pool's video stream. During the show, Blue claimed to represent 2 anonymous survivors of Andrew Tate, the kickboxer turned king of toxic masculinity, accused with 3 other suspects of a sexual exploitation or other heinous crimes. Tate has denied the wrongdoing. Some of Tate's most rabid fans, along with other right-wing users, began scrutinizing Blue's black story. They posted clips from past media appearances to cast doubt on her trafficking claims and trolled her with screenshots from a racing music video dating back to 2016 that she participated in World Star Hip Hop and Eliza Knows phase. I don't give a fuck about Brandon Tate. This has nothing to do with it. Blue's outfits in the video were provocative, but they didn't feature nudity or appear to be non-consensual. Actually, with the see-through top in one of the videos, you could see her tits in it, so that's not accurate. You could see nudity. And had been on YouTube for 7 years, and they were until they blocked mine and others. Still, Twitter locked the accounts of several prominent right-wing personalities who cover internet drama after they refused to delete their tweets about the music video. Blue, for her part, declared that the screenshots amounted to posting a non-consensual photo. In a series of tweets on January 20th, she vowed to escalate to the full extent of the law. She's saying it was non-consent, but she consented to being in these videos. She was, I'm assuming, paid for the videos, and people are just showing a rap video. I can play an old Tupac or Dr. Dre video on my page right now. As long as I talk through it, I'm okay to show it to you. There's no copyright issue, and I'm not going to have an issue about how Dr. Dre's upset that I showed it. I can show it, or Eminem, or anyone else. So she's doing it because it's destroying her narrative of a woman that's a victim instead of a woman who's a hoe. Twitter did an outstanding job, and they will be excluded from legal action. There won't be anyone else involved spared. I take all things the way I have, no chill. Blue wrote, I'm a survivor advocate, and that doesn't stop with advocating for myself as a survivor. Ella Irwin, Twitter's head of trust and safety under Musk, that's the new bitch that I was talking about that's working with Eliza, who has previously praised Blue, defended the suspensions in a thread on Sunday. And that's Brittany Venti, the Quartering at the time, Yellow Flash, and others. The Quartering's back because he found a way to get himself back. He's a weasel. And Brittany Venti, Yellow Flash, and the others, to the best of my knowledge, are not restored. In the past 2 weeks, we've suspended multiple accounts and or restricted content, causing confusion for users, Irwin wrote. Unfortunately, we can't answer questions or share details about specific users and account actions. But Blue's critics have not been placated, especially after contemporaneous clips of Blue, as Eliza knows, celebrating the launch of the World Star video surfaced, suggesting that she participated in its creation consensually. They've also dug up a 2021 interview in which Blue told right-wing pundit Michael Malice that she was trafficked on Twitter when a group of people used her pictures to create social media accounts. So she thinks she was trafficked because her picture was online. At that point, Blue had escaped her supposed actual traffickers years earlier, and the fake accounts were being used as some sort of ill-defined catfishing scheme, she said. Blue's critics have seized on the interview in which Blue described as sort of an identity theft as trafficking, as proof that Blue uses an expansive definition of the term. So, anytime you wrong her, you trafficked her, right? So she goes to McDonald's, gets herself a meal. you don't give her the proper change back is because you trafficked her. You sex trafficked her. You thought she was cute, and you didn't give her the right change back. And you sex trafficked her, and you owe her that change, and you're a bad person. The expansive definition also didn't sit right with Maria Farmer, a victim of Jerry Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. From Farmer's perspective, Blue's public posts seem to conflate what it means to be a sex trafficking victim with sex work. This woman and her cohorts have effectively bastardized the words trafficking and survivor. We just want to use the word victim now, Farmer told the Daily Beast. And this is where you see a woman who has actually gone through the horrors, and now she can't even be spoken to or considered properly because you've got a bitch like Eliza Bleu pretending that she was that, when she's just a hoe. And this other woman who was legitimately trafficked by Epstein and Maxwell, and she's like, I'm a shit bad victim now because fucking Eliza Bleu fucked it up for everybody. This is what Eliza Blue's done. Herein lies the problem. Since emerging as an anti-trafficking advocate, Blue has crossed paths with Epstein victims. In September 2020, she announced on Twitter that she accepted a new position with Victims Refuse Silence, which at the time was trafficking nonprofit of Virginia Giuffre, a high-profile victim of Epstein and Maxwell. By November of the year, Blue tweeted that she has stepped back into a part-time role with the organization. Corporate records in Florida from 21 to 22 list Blue as the group's secretary and director. Blue was once featured in videos on the group's website, soliciting donations, asking people to get involved, and plugging her own Twitter handle as a resource for trafficking awareness. I firmly believe that anybody that's helping us in the survivor space should be very thoroughly vetted, because we have a lot of nefarious players that just want to be close to victims and survivors. Yeah, like you! She said in one video in which she claimed her former traffickers made a Twitter profile with her name. She's just saying that they're trafficking her by stealing her identity. That's identity theft. It's not trafficking. Photos and videos without her consent. You weren't trafficked, asshole. They stole your identity. Teresa Helm, a victim of Epstein and former director of Victims Refuse Silence, said she became friends with Blue and asked her to join the group before it dissolved. She's been almost like a freelancer in the world of advocacy, said Helm, who now works for National Center on Sexual Exploitation, which was once known as Morality and Media. She's nonstop on Twitter, which has been wonderful because it has brought to light a lot of things that were happening that people weren't paying attention to otherwise. Helm continued, adding that Blue told her friends with Musk she's been a pioneer in waking people the hell up. About Blue's doubters, Helm said, I support her as a trafficking survivor entirely. That's because you're a moron. Nothing in her past makes anything less valuable in terms of her advocacy work. It's not her job to prove anything to anybody. Yes, it is! And if she's lying about being trafficked, she can't pretend she's been trafficked to help other traffickers. I can't say I had cancer and then say, well, it's cool because I'm helping other people who have cancer and I'm giving donations to them. No, it isn't, because it's coming from a place of bullshit because I never had cancer. And she was never sex trafficked. So yes, it's fucking bullshit. And this cunt is affecting her, protecting her is bullshit. Still, some survivors of Epstein's sex rings said they didn't trust Blue. One victim, who asked not to be named, told the Daily Beast that she shared concerns about Blue after researching her background, yeah, you and everybody else, and finding ties to right-wing figures and publications such as Pizzagate promoter Mike Cernovich and conservative website The Blaze. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? The ability to find me other than the fucking bitch that's hanging out with the Quartering, who claims that she's been victimized by one of the guys over there. She's a left-wing feminist. She's full of shit. The ability to finally share my story and connect with others was freeing, but it's not as straightforward as simply going public, the Epstein victim said. Only a strong foundation of therapeutic recovery prepared me for the publicity generated by the salacious facts of this case. However, I was not prepared for my trauma being co-opted for others' gains. Farmer, who tried to report Epstein and Maxwell to the feds in the 90s, said she had raised concerns about Blue's backstory on Twitter, only for Blue to block her. So Farmer, who is a legitimate sex traffic survivor, sex abuse victim, is calling out Eliza Bleu as a bullshitter. So only someone who's been through it legitimately can look at somebody else and go, you're full of fucking shit. And who's Yeah, Sydney Watson is the undercover feminist who does videos with the quartering and pretends she's a conservative. She's full of fucking shit. That's who I was referencing. Blue's critics have also seized on her reality TV experience appearances in an attempt to poke holes in her trafficking story. Sometime around 2002, for example, she appeared on the dating show Blind Date as a contestant so hostile that the show's editors kept a running on-screen count of her complaints. In 2012, at the height of what she would later describe as her second period being sex trafficked deep in Chicago gang territory, Blue appeared as an amateur model on Chicago-based The Steve Harvey Show, where Tyra Banks judged her performance. The suspensions have fueled speculation about Blue's access to Twitter execs, and complaints about Musk's supposed commitment to free speech only go so far when his friends and allies are being embarrassed. That's true. Musk has taken over. He's only looking out for his crew and people he likes, and everybody else like you and I that are just regular taxpayers trying to have our voice out there, Elon Musk could give a fuck about. So bear that in mind when you think Elon Musk is the fucking free speech savior of the world. He isn't. He's another grifter. He's full of shit. David Karpf, an associate professor in the School of Media and Public Affairs at George Washington University, told the Daily Beast that the Blue controversy underscores how chaotic content moderation has come under Musk. So, blah, 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 blah. So, here's one that I've already showed you. Blue has occasionally raised money online related to her anti-trafficking efforts. In 2020, she raised $1,625. It's actually at 2005 right now. She raised for a vacation, writing that normally I serve survivors of human trafficking. My standard caseload is 20 survivors at a time. During the season, I took on an extra 61 survivors via online advocacy. What a fucking hero. You increase your workload to get more money. She raised another $2,205, as I just showed you, the following year to attend the Libertarian Freedom Fest conference. Blue has also indicated that she opened a safe house of her own for trafficking victims. In March 2020, she tweeted that she had opened the facility called the Humanity House. It is unclear whether the facility is currently in operation. It's on her father's property, on the farm where the family lives. That's where it's allegedly supposed to be, and no one has been able to find any information that shows that she is helping survivors, bringing them onto the family farm, into this home, and helping them. It's another grift. It's bullshit. Other than initially announcing it, she's never promoted it on Twitter or never taken any other action again to show that it's being done. And she was doing it on the family's property. The farm that she grew up on. The farm that belongs to her former Republican father. That's where she was setting the house up at. Blue's latest posts, which once attracted praise, are now rife with trolls. One person created an account in her name whose main photo features Blue bent over alongside the caption, "Help, I'm being trafficked." Another user remade the Steve Buscemi fellow kids meme with Blue's face and the words, "Hello, fellow survivors of human trafficking." There's definitely a lot of misogyny and right-wing trolls. An ex-boyfriend of Blue's told the Daily Beast, "I don't think she should have to be dealing with any of that." Yeah, well, you got your dick sucked, so I'm sure you have nice things to say. According to the Bo, who asked to remain anonymous, Boo, the two met in 2019 at an event for presidential candidate Andrew Yang, that left-wing nutcase. At the time, he says Blue was working in elder care and living on her family farm. Blue shared with him that she'd been trafficked in Los Angeles as a teenager. He had no reason to disbelieve her. Not when your cock's in her mouth. You don't want to disbelieve her. It was like she was just randomly came up with like a trafficking story, he said, adding that when it comes to her personal life, she is definitely a very private person despite how public she is. Well, one kind of fucking negates the other, isn't it? So you're private, but also you talk about your whole fucking life online. That negates the private part. Even back then, however, Blue told him she wanted to be famous. Well, there we go. She mentioned how she would love to be on the Ben Shapiro podcast, the ex said, adding that she also envisioned starring on Joe Rogan's show. That was a joke that she had. I'm going to get on Joe Rogan before you. And I'm sure she's been trying. Joe Rogan's a moron. I don't know if he's done it yet or not, but maybe. Blue also joked that the famous men she dreamed of dating, with Musk among them, she once told them, there's 3 people I would cheat on you with. Ben Shapiro, Elon Musk, and then there might have been one other, he recalled. So she's like checking off her list. She's been on with Ben Shapiro, though he's an Orthodox Jew and very likely would not cheat on his wife. Elon Musk has a history of dating, like, basically women with daddy issues, and she's definitely that. So that's possible. And then the one other he can't recall. How convenient. The reason this is all funny to me is now because last month she was on Ben Shapiro's podcast. Her and Elon Musk are in communication with each other. The ex told the Daily Beast. She's definitely had these aspirations of being somebody. Her aspirations are kind of going exactly where she wanted in a weird way. So she's definitely checking everything off her list. So to reiterate all of this, this is her GoFundMe. This is current. I'm going to refresh it. I just refreshed it. I'll do it again, just in case anybody needed to see it. 2,205 has been raised of a goal of 2,600. These are some of the donations. Anonymous, Felicia Killings, Tiffany Tapp, Peter Carr, Stephen Scatagaria, Donna Taylor, John Macado, Joseph Insight. Your dicks aren't going to get sucked. Don't bother giving her the money. So, this is her GoFundMe. Hi there, my name is Eliza. I'm a survivor advocate for those affected by human trafficking. I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. I was booked to speak about human trafficking at the Freedom Fest 2021. Unfortunately, I was booked late and the conference didn't have funds to cover travel expenses like airfare and hotel. Right. I said that I would speak anyway and crowdfund the expenses. Thank you so much in advance for donating. It means a lot to me to have the opportunity to raise awareness. Visit freedomfest.com for more information about the event. Here's an update on the event on 2021. I don't know if she's pulled this money or she's leaving it alone because she's under fire. Hey everyone, I want to thank you for getting me this far. I purchased my airplane ticket yesterday. I still need the hotel, baggage, and transportation to and from the hotel. Getting closer, and I wanted to say thank you. Best, Eliza. Eliza Blue, right there. Organizer, Chicago, Illinois. That's how you contact her. Please donate to share words of support. Peter Carr, good luck. Philip Eubanks, go kill that speech, Eliza. Also, please put my cock in your mouth. That's what he should have said. Fucking loser. You're not going to get any from her. Don't fucking bother. So, there's her GoFundMe. That's a proof that she's hitting people up to get her money to travel. If she's really a sex trafficking advocate, and she's reaching out to these other people to communicate with them, somebody's going to cover her expenses. She doesn't need to come up with them on their own on a GoFundMe. This, as people have said in other podcasts, was her trying to get a paid vacation at whatever these suckers' expense. And some people have done it. You could find anybody to do it. I've honestly thought about starting a GoFundMe to become a millionaire. 100% full disclosure. I think I might do it. Just for the fucking shit of it, right? I'm not going to be a grifter. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to come right out with it. I want to be a millionaire. And if everybody gave me, if 1 million people gave me $1, you probably dropped $1 accidentally while you were walking around listening to the show. There's probably one sitting on your dresser in your bedroom. If you gave me $1, 1 million people gave me $1, I could be a millionaire. I think I'm going to set it up. And then after I'm done, I'm going to choose at random one of the people that donated, put their name forward, and then everybody else can give them $1, and it can be like a on the down low charity event, because a lottery would probably be illegal, right? Because I'm not an official thing. So if it's in a charity event of people helping people, then I have to be a millionaire first, to be clear. We can't move forward with this unless I am. So I become a millionaire, and then I will help others do the same thing. And it's a charity event. People helping people. I'm getting it started. I'm saying it now. So if a grifter like Eliza Blue can set up this GoFundMe, there's no reason that I can't be 100% transparent and say, everyone give me $1 and help me become a millionaire. At least I'm being honest. I'm not saying I have cancer or I'm a sex trafficking survivor. I'm just saying help me be a millionaire. That's all. Doesn't everybody want to be that? I'll try and help you out too. So, let's see here. So this is when she was talking. That's the shitbag author that went to do the bullshit puff piece. So here we go. They had a little bit of an extra discussion about it, and I know the show's gone on for a while, and I apologize about that. But after my show was deleted, I wanted to do this and deleted. I wanted to get all of this information out there and really go through this comprehensive. I know it's been too long. I know it's fucking going on, and you're like, well, fucking get it over with. But after the hour and a half that I put into making that video and trying to be fair to her when I did it, by just saying it's wrong if you were saying you were a sex trafficking survivor, but also I don't personally hold you responsible or contempt for shaking your ass, trying to make money, trying to become popular. I don't blame you for any of that. Like, do you, girl? That's what I'm saying. Do you, boy, or do you, girl? Do you? I don't care. But when you pretend you have a problem and you pretend that you're something, therein lies the issue. And no, you advocating to help other people does not erase the thing that you started the entire concept with. So, to finish this, because this is like a hometown hero, this is Aidan Kearney, who some of you might know as Turtle Boy in Massachusetts. And in the Northeast, right? So Turtle Boy News, Turtle Boy Sports, he's always getting sued or canceled or whatever it is. He's a little bit of like a hometown news hero. This is a guy that calls out, he's against the left and the radical left. And I encourage you to find his page on Facebook, Twitter, follow his YouTube, whatever it is. Find him, follow him. Because not only does he call out and fight back against the radical left, but he does something that news used to do, and he calls out the fucking losers in day-to-day life in like your hometown or your city or the town next to you or whatever, right? The drug users, the scammers, the scumbags, the fuck-ups. He calls them out and he blows up their spot. I think anyone would probably say, God forbid I ever show up on Turtle Boy News, right? And it's less so that you show up on Turtle Boy News and a little more that you fucked up enough to show up on Turtle Boy News. But news used to focus on, because if you research history, their local newsletters would talk about people in the town, something happened to them, someone getting married, somebody getting arrested, somebody that was caught, doing something in town they weren't supposed to. They put it in the local newsletter because there was so little news-wise to go on that you had to talk about what everyone was doing in town. So that was what it was focused on. And news evolved to a little more than that, like car chases, fires, gun, shootings, all that shit, like talking about the crazy stuff that was going on in your town and city. But in my opinion, Turtle Boy takes it back to the old school way of news, where he talks about the low-life shitbags in your town or city and how they're fucking people over and they're doing stuff, right? He doesn't just choose somebody and say, well, they use drugs and they're a loser. No, he doesn't do that. He chooses the one who's a drug-dealing loser who claims that they care about their kids and they're focusing on their kids and they want donations to take care of their kids, but they're using it to buy drugs or live their fucking loser life, or they're doing donations to rip people off and do their thing, right? That's what Turtle Boy does. And that's something you don't get anymore, and that's what's unique to him, is Adrian Kearney. I'm going to play a little bit of him talking about, he was interviewed on Tim Pool, and he's talking about his experience about that, and the Eliza Bleu controversy. So I know this is 31 minutes. I'm not going to go another 31 minutes. I'm just going to let Turtle Boy talk a little bit here to kind of wrap it up, just to show you guys. And I like Turtle Boy. I follow him on Facebook, and he blows up the scum of the universe's spots, and that's what I appreciate about him. So
how did you get intrigued into the whole Eliza Bleu story? And hopefully you guys in the chat aren't sick of hearing about it, because I just feel like every new person.
I'm gonna let this go a little bit. I'm gonna grab another drink. I'll be right back.
You just gotta keep flipping over rocks and seeing, what.
I'm not bored with it. You'd think I would be, but it's so fascinating. So I do a lot of scammers in general, like people who scam the system in various ways, and so Eliza is right in my wheelhouse. She's obviously a more prominent scammer than the kind of people that I write about. And so it kind of worked well because I met people like you through this whole thing. And I've been watching her for a few months, and just something didn't seem right. The self-promotion, always centering herself and everything. And I've been watching her. And then the more and more stuff came out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this all together in a blog and in a thread. And I did that. And they kind of both, got a lot of attention and a lot of views and whatnot. And it was an interesting position because, like I said, I was just on Timcast a couple weeks ago. And when I was on there, in the comments section, you saw two things. You saw a lot of turtle emojis from my people, but you also saw everybody else saying, like, Eliza Bleu, talk about Eliza Bleu. Like, it was impossible to miss. So a lot of my people were like, who's Eliza Bleu? And I'm like, well, it's this woman, and I'm going to do a deep dive into her and figure this whole thing out and put it all out there. And so, yeah, I just thought the whole thing was fascinating simply. And I don't like how people call it drama. It's not drama, okay? It's a woman who has a large platform with a very serious topic of sex trafficking, who is winning awards, and who has now have influence with the most powerful man on social media, Elon Musk, who seemingly has the ability to censor anyone who is pointing out factual things about her past. To me, that's newsworthy.
Yeah, and I think it can be, at first, a lot of people were upset that not more people were covering it. At first, people were very upset with Tim Pool for not covering it. They were upset with, but other outlets too, like Chicks on the Right, and there were several others. I guess Candace Owens wasn't covering it right away either. And so finally,
she is now.
Finally she is now, and I guess begrudgingly the Timcast crew is covering it now too.
Yeah, right.
But I think at first the hesitancy in not covering the Eliza Bleu story is because most people don't, especially men, don't want to be seen accusing a woman who may have very well gone through some sort of like sexual trauma or toxic relationship or domestic abuse, of being a liar, of not, because it's a hard thing to prove either way. So I think a lot of people just didn't want to go near it.
I think that's partly it. I also think it's partly, I don't know if sexism is the right word, but a lot of men just look at that and they see people like you and Brittany Venti, like she's very feminine, right? The way she talks.
Bimbo power, yeah.
Right, like you go on her channel. I didn't know much about her before I started watching this. And I see on her channel, like most of her followers are women on there. And so a lot of people see one woman criticizing and attacking another woman, what they perceive as an attack. And the first thing men think is catfight. Yeah. And they immediately think this is just drama. Like that's what men instinctively think about it. And so I think a lot of the Tim Pools of the world are like, I'm staying out of this chick fight. I don't want anything to do with this. And that's the way they framed it. But it's not a chick fight. This is a very serious topic. And this woman who was platformed by Tim just a few weeks ago on January 7th on there and used his platform to spread her lies that we know they're lies now. And that's worth addressing because, I mean, people look up to Tim. He's a guy who made his name. I think he really became famous when he was on Rogan because of how hard he went after Jack Dorsey and Vijay Agadi. He destroyed them on there on the topic of censorship on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But now somebody who's a guest on his show is the new Vijay Agadi with shorter hair. And it's like, you're not going to talk about this? I mean, he's free to talk about whatever he wants to talk about. But it's just like, that's usually what's in your wheelhouse. And people thought that was strange.
Yeah. And the viewers, they respect him. They respect his platform and what he's built. And I think everyone was looking to him to just amplify the story, which most people could see was an obvious censorship story. It's like part censorship, sure, part this person is lying. about who they are, or they're, if she's not lying, she.
No, my arena rank. Dormammu just keeps wrecking me.
What's going on?
He makes his whole team revive, so I have to
No,
beat
it
everybody
makes his whole
twice.
team revive, and I'm
Honestly,
stuck in a
X-Men
shit
is
commercial
strong,
no
but
one
they're not
cares
that
about.
strong.
Fuck off.
She's doing a piss poor job of telling her story and being a public advocate. I mean, there's no way if she has like social issues, or the PTSD is just at such a level that she can't clearly discuss events or her timeline. Well, then she shouldn't be doing this. Like, she should be a behind the scenes person. She should not be out in front of people who are going to constantly question your story. You're going to have to constantly repeat yourself. You're going to have to. I can't remember how many times I've been asked, like, how did I get into comedy? What happened to January 6th? Like, how was I, kind of booted out of the regular New York City comedy community? It's like, you just don't be public if you're not used to telling the same story over and over again. And she not only was not telling it, she would get offended if people asked and kind of gaslight them into being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And that was particularly true with the Katie Herzog interview, where she basically got this woman into such an emotional state that she was too busy. She put her on the defensive. She had to be apologizing instead of forgetting her initial.
Well, she was just trying to keep her on the line because she wanted the interview, and so she was just like, this woman's breaking down. I need to make her feel comfortable. But I think
this is what I talked about, the Katie Herzog interview, where she was talking to Eliza, and then she went a little bit off the beaten path and asked her about some of the sex trafficking and everything, and Eliza got really defensive, confrontational, flipped out about it, and whatever. So I don't know who Christy Mayer is, nor do I care. Here's Turtle Boy right here. I like Turtle Boy. Please, feel free to follow him. And I like what he has to say. He's no bullshit. He'll say it the way it is, and he'll expose people for their bullshit. Or he'll ask you to fucking define what it is. Like, if you're doing something, or you're saying something, or you're going a route, fucking tell me what it is and just be clear about it. That's it. And we're either going to talk about it, or we're going to fucking dissect it and take it apart. He's just straight down the road. Let's get to the point and let's expose the bullshit. And that's how I am with my show. I started the show to not be PC, to not follow the left wing's game plan, and to not go by their bullshit. I know today's show has gone on for a long time. It's probably like 3 hours. I can't even say, I see it going, but I don't know how long it's been going. But thank you to everybody that's watching and is going to be watching. And I don't want to be PC on the show. I don't want to play by the normal rules on the show. This show is to fight back against the cancel culture. This show is to fight back against the culture war and to fight back against bullshit. And one of the biggest things has been with Eliza Bleu. And again, like, Matt, you're attacking this chick. No, because she's going after other people. And she's attacking them, and she's shutting all their stuff down. She doesn't know who I am. She doesn't care who I am. But through her actions, she has had one of my shows that I worked hard on completely deleted. And that's why I felt strongly about doing this show now. That's why it's gone as long as it's gone today. I've used part of my Sunday for about 3 hours now to do this show and put it up to fight back against this fucking bitch. This lying bitch who says she's sex trafficked. My opinion, no the fuck she wasn't. She wasn't. She's a liar. She's a grifter. She's trying to get attention. Trying to get Elon Musk cock in her mouth and whoever the fuck else is willing to give her free time. That's my opinion on it. I was willing to look at this, break it down, and give her the benefit of the doubt for the other things she did. Now I say, fuck this bitch. I don't trust her at all. She's a fucking liar. And does it matter? The entire world is filled with liars. We're surrounded by liars. There's probably one in the next room from you right now. The point is, she's silencing people's voices. She's having their videos canceled. She's having their hard work removed. In looking into this topic and discussing it. There's nothing wrong with talking about something. If I'm wrong, and she's 100% legit, then let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about how I was wrong. Let's talk about the mistakes I made. Let's apologize to her. Let's have this conversation, and then let's move forward with the whole thing. That's what should happen. If I lied to you and I bullshitted you, I should tell you that that happened, and I have in previous shows. If I made a mistake or I got a piece of news wrong, I go on the next show, I correct it, I let you know what the deal is, and I let you know my thoughts on it. If I fucked up in some crazy world, if something came out that was irrefutable proof that Eliza Bleu was not only a victim, not only innocent, but 100% true, my next show would be bending over, grabbing my ankles, and telling you that I was wrong. Fucking take it. Telling you I was wrong, telling you I fucked up, telling you what I was wrong about, correcting it, apologizing, making the whole thing right, and then moving forward again with, hopefully, my apology and your understanding of the whole thing. But this isn't the case here. People that are victims of these things happening don't silence your voice and have all of your work deleted. But truth dies in darkness, and it flourishes in the light. It flourishes in the light. If she wants the truth of what happened to her out there, if you wanted to stick it up all of our asses, you'd come right out and say, here are the names. Here's what I went through. Fuck you to everybody that didn't believe me. Fuck all of you name by name by name that shit on me. And here's the facts of the entire matter. And as difficult as it is for you, blow up everyone's spot and shit down their throats. But she's not going to do that. We've proven up to this point she's not going to do that. Because she's a grifter, a liar, and the fact that she's turned her grift and her lie into the attempt at helping people who were sex trafficked for real is not forgiveness of her sins. She's still a piece of shit. And it doesn't matter that she's trying to help people after being a piece of shit. She's still a piece of shit. And it's even worse than that, because she's been trying to gain fame and notoriety through all these years. She's done a half-assed effort of it, only because she shakes her ass to get any sort of view whatsoever, and then that hasn't gotten enough done. So now she's doing I'm going to advocate for the poor and helpless and abused, and that's going to get me the extra attention and put me over the top that I'm looking for. That makes you an even bigger piece of shit for it. Not a better person. One wrong doesn't make a right. You are 2 times a piece of fucking shit for claiming you're a sex surviving advocate and then attempting to advocate for legitimate sex surviving advocates. You're twice the piece of shit. So, I'm just a new podcast. I'm at the bottom of the ladder. I said this at the beginning of the show, and for anybody else who's tuning in. I've got a small handful of listeners on YouTube. I've got another handful of listeners on my audio portion. Between everything, I'm nowhere near the big dogs that I have referenced in this video. The Brittany Ventis, the Yellow Flashes, the fucking Quartering, the lying feminist Sydney Wasson. I'm not where they're at right now, because everyone's buying their grift and their bullshit. At least the Quartering and Sydney Watson. The other ones are alright. But everyone's buying their shit and giving them money. I'm at the bottom of the ladder and they can't even hear what I'm saying. But no one should be giving her a free pass. Everyone should be fighting back against this, and I know everyone's sick of hearing it. It's the proverbial beating of the dead horse. And you just don't want to fucking deal with it anymore. But we're in an age now, I think, where everyone has been pushed so far by the lies and the bullshit that human beings and taxpayers, we take a lot of shit. A lot more than you think. And it is such a day-to-day routine that you don't realize the fucking beating you're taking from day to day. So you just keep going with it, and you just keep taking it. And even then, after the beating we've gotten used to, you get to such a point where you go, this is the fucking, that saying, the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Which that saying basically means, after all the bullshit that you've gone through, it was one little hair, one little cunt hair, that was finally the thing that broke your back and dropped you to the ground. You just couldn't fucking take any more after this one little thing. And this Eliza Bleu situation, that's one little cunt hair. That's that one hair that broke the camel's back. You survived all of the other fucking bullshit that you shouldn't have to do. And it was this one last hair that broke you. And in this conversation, it's the Eliza Bleu thing. Because she's full of shit. She's a liar. She's going after other people to shut you down. And then you're supposed to be the bad guy, and I'm supposed to be the bad guy for talking about it and showing the whole thing and blowing it up. That's the last straw. And that's why I did this episode. This is why I took 3 hours out of my last day off before I go back to work. Because these other guys do YouTube, and that's their only job. They get money from people that watch, and that's how they make their money, and that's their life. No, I work a full-time job. And then I do this, and I do this news, and I talk about these topics because I feel strongly about it. I pay for everything out of pocket. When I stream online on the audio portion, I'm paying for all of that out of pocket. I've gotten $0 for my work. I do everything right now out of pocket for free. No one gives me shit. The Tim Pools, the Quarterings, the fucking Sydney Watson, fucking feminist scammers, they get your super chats and all your shit. And they're making all this money off of all of you out there in YouTube land that are giving them this shit and while they're fucking you over. I'm talking about the real deal and the real news, just like Turtle Boy is right here. And just like others like him. And Turtle Boy, let me tell you why he's a real deal. He's sued, he's attacked, verbally, messaged, harassed, threatened. He goes through all of this shit. And he just takes donations from his fans. He sells his Turtle Boy shirts, or he tries to do an event or do something else, but this guy is just trying to spit the truth and fight back against all this bullshit. And that's the real deal of these internet wars here. That's the real deal of people like myself, like Turtle Boy, like others who are giving you the news and the opinions and putting out the time and talking about this shit because we believe in it. Not because I want to sell you my fucking coffee. Because I believe in it. If you help me and you support me and I do well financially because I get support from my viewers, great. If I don't, I'm going to keep fucking doing this anyway. And I'm putting my voice out there because I'm a taxpayer whose voice matters and I believe that, and I'm going to put it out there. These other ones are grifters that are trying to get you to buy all their fucking bullshit. And what they give you is not what, in my opinion, you're looking for. What you're looking for is the fucking truth and the nitty gritty of all this shit. And the real conversation of it. And being able to talk about it. That's what I think you want. Why? Because that's what I want. And before I started a podcast, I was you. I watched this shit. I watched other people. And I tried to get this info and this news and these opinions and feelings from other people in the hopes that they were saying the thing that I was thinking in my head. And I decided that I got sick of getting thirsty waiting to fucking hear all that shit. Or hear their bullshit about how they were PC about some of it. And I decided just to fucking get out there and do it on my own. Regardless of where it went. I've said this on the beginning of my audio podcast before I ever went online. I said I don't care if I get 5,000 listeners, 500, or 5. As long as my voice is out there. Thank you, Eric Jones, for subscribing if you're watching the show. Thank you, bro. As long as my voice is getting out there, I'm exercising my voice and my ability as a taxpayer, which is supposed to matter beyond anything else. The voice of the taxpayer is supposed to matter beyond any fucking scumbag politician, any Hollywood elite, and any fucking actor, any singer, or anyone else. Our voices matter more than those elitist cunts. And that's why I did this show. It doesn't, no matter where it goes. Whether I make money off of it or I'm just fucking throwing money at it and I'm not getting anywhere. It doesn't matter. It'd be cool if it goes somewhere like these other fucking people who are online with 100,000 followers. But if it doesn't, I'm still going to do this show. I'm still going to put my voice out there because that's how strongly I feel about it. And the quartering is going to tell you that he's going to leave his open chats and he's not going to bullshit you and he's going to do yada yada, and the Sydney Watson is going to tell you some fucking bullshit and she's going to do the same thing and the others. I'm not going to fucking bullshit you. I'm not here to rip you off, and I'm not here to give you a bullshit news story. I'm going to tell you I'm conservative. I'm going to tell you I'm a patriot of this country. I'm going to tell you I believe in this country and the freedom that it's supposed to have. And I'm not going to compromise it for any amount of money or any offer or anything else. I don't care what I'm offered down the road. I don't care what's presented down the road. If they tell me not to be the person that I am right here talking to you right now, I'm going to tell them to go fuck themselves and I'm going to go back to my regular fucking life. And that's the fighters we need out here right now. The conservative patriots who are fighting the war, not selling you coffee, not selling you bullshit, and not selling my product 10 times a fucking show until you're going to throw up over listening to me. That's not what I'm here to do. Help me or don't help me. The choice is yours. If a grifter like Eliza Bleu can go on GoFundMe and get $2,000 to take a bullshit vacation, I feel like some real patriots out there can legit support me. And if you can, it is what it is. And I'll keep doing the show anyway. I'll keep communicating with everybody anyway. I'm going to keep doing my thing until I can't do it anymore. That's what I'm going to do. Thank you to everyone who stuck with this show and who watched the whole thing. I know it's 3 hours of me running off at the fucking mouth. And I appreciate it that you stuck with it and you did it. And for anybody else that's going to find this later on, and they're going to watch it and be informed about what this is going on because you want to know who this chick is. And know that she's just another version of the leftist elitist cunts we're already dealing with. So thank you for supporting me. I'm on YouTube and Rumble, the Relief Valve Podcast. My audio show is on, because I do an audio and a video portion. The audio show is on Spotify, I've got to fix, but it's on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and all the other major platforms you can hear the show, and things that I can't talk about on YouTube, because I've already gotten 2 strikes. Some of these other fucking YouTube guys, they won't risk doing that. I've already gotten a warning and 1 strike for talking about vaccinations and things like that. And if I get kicked off of it and I lose my ability in the future to make money, it is what it is. But I'm going to do it anyway because that's how much I believe about the fight. And Crowder was the same way, Louder with Crowder. He got demonetized, he lost all his shit, he still kept fighting that fight and saying that stuff anyway. And that's some of the things I believe in. Fight the fight, even though it's fucking trying to drown you while you're doing it. So I've got a PayPal set up right now for anyone that appreciates the content and my ranting and fucking raving and wants to help out. On the audio show, it's support the show, and anywhere that you listen on the audio show. If you go on Buzzsprout, you look at my page on Buzzsprout, support the show, you can do it there. Help, or if you don't want to, just watch the content and enjoy it. I fucking... There's nothing else I can do. You can support or not. It's up to you. But if you're giving your hard-earned money to a bunch of other fucking people who aren't really doing shit for you on their pages, I'm going to try and offer you what you want. And the opinion you want, the voice you want, and the news you want. And that's what I'm trying to do here. And this is what this fucking show of me ranting and raving is, right? So, on the PayPal, if you're willing to support the show... I really appreciate that because I'm paying for it out of pocket, and that'll help towards supporting it and keeping it going. The show is Mondays and Fridays normally, and then I do shorts or fucking long rants like this one. And thanks for the support. Like, subscribe, comment. You can reach the show at reliefvalvepodcast@aol.com. I'll follow, subscribe, so you get updates from me. We're on here, and if I ever get kicked off of YouTube, I'm simulcasting to Rumble as well, where I want to be able to upload fully on there as well as a backup to when the leftists kick me off YouTube, all right? Thanks for everyone for following this. If this was 3 hours on somebody else, I fucking would have been maybe pulling my fucking hair out near the end of it. But if you followed and stuck with me, thank you. I wanted to go over this because she fucked me. My video got kicked off that I originally did on Eliza Bleu, and all of the content in the videos that I took of her is obviously missing from this because I'll get kicked off if I put it on. But what I did get on here to show you what the deal is and the reasons why, I'm glad you followed it. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I got a show coming up tomorrow, my regular show, and then more fucking shorts. There won't be 3 hours that I'll be putting up. Thanks, everyone, and I appreciate the support.